Oh god, this is like 20 minutes of the show. It's gonna be edited out. We can't stop laughing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another very special episode of Back Up a Second. I'm your moderator, Dapper Stormtrooper, here bringing order to the galaxy and this podcast. As always, I'm here in our stunningly medium fidelity, semi-boosted Discord server with my co-conspirators, Growling Grouper, Showboat Chopin, and bravest podcaster Krista. And tonight we'll be suffering through episode 4 of the CBS trash hit Picard, currently receiving a 7.7 on an IMDb and a 0 from all of us. So if you haven't already tuned out, tune in, throw your leg over the chair, sit down, and prepare your brain for the organic equivalent of Cascade failure as we discuss, honestly, episode 4 with absolute candor. Take us away, Chopin.
The story so far. Here are the things we're reminded of at the beginning of the episode. We are reminded of Picard yelling at a journalist after being questioned about his rescue effort. We're reminded of Picard perfectly summarizing up to Laris in one convenient line the whole Data, daughter, twin, Romula assassin plot.
Wow.
Very convenient writing.
What was that line?
Could have skipped a few episodes then.
It was a big, long line. I didn't write the whole thing down, but it covers all the points. That's thinking ahead when you're writing. Right there.
Was it a line like that, or did they just smash a bunch of clips together? And
no, it was a single line from a scene when Picard is talking to Laris. We also find out that Picard needs to find Bruce Maddox, and that's good because we also remember that Raffi found Bruce Maddox. He's on Free Cloud, and so they're going to go to Free Cloud. Raffi's going with them, but she's not with them. She's just going to Free Cloud.
Oh,
She's just hitching a ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's not in the band. She's just with the band. Got it.
It's freeloading.
Also, don't forget that Raffi doesn't like Agnes.
Right, the only two female leads instantly don't like each other.
Yeah, because women have to hate each other. That's
right.
drama. Yeah.
Speaking of women hating each other, Ramda called Soji the Destroyer, Seb Cheneb, and tried to shoot herself in the head, but was stopped. Remember that part? Seb Cheneb, the Destroyer?
Seb Cheneb. You're going to have to say that every time.
Seb
Cheneb,
don't you know?
I say it every time as well, so I will say it every time. All right, here's our intro. We are at the planet Vashti.
Oh, it's not Mars blowing up. Hooray! Yay!
For what?
Oh, jeez, oh, Pete.
Episode 4, 75% of the openers is Mars exploding. All right.
Brian's looking at like page 2 and 3 where he has described again another iteration of Mars being exploded and
You
going,
assume I have to look that far ahead.
Oh.
No. Okay.
Although this doesn't bode well for the planet Vashti.
True. We have almost established a pattern.
So we see planet Vashti in the Beta Quadrant. It's very kind of desert brown, but it's splotched with decent patches of forest and scattered lakes, right? And good shuttle traffic. There's a lot of good traffic going on here, coming and going. We get the subtitle, Romulan Relocation Hub, 14 years ago.
Okay.
It's a Wild West town.
Yes.
Of course it is.
Yeah, there's sand and people running around. There's little food carts. There's kids. This is a thriving little settlement here.
This
right?
is definitely a TOS throwback.
We see some Romulans sitting around playing a sort of board game, but they're using those triangle tiles that we saw Ramda using, like as her fortune telling. They're using them as like part of a card game, but there's a board game too because they're little pieces they're moving around. And they're just kind of sitting around open air cafes, kids running around, food stands. There's a particular young boy we see about 6, 7, 8 years old or so, dressed all in black, a little black jumper or whatever you call it, runs through town. And we see him like grabbing some sort of vegetable off of a tray and running off as the store owner shouts in Romulan. He shouts, "Run, sister boy." And then the little boy turns around and in Romulan shouts, "Bite me," and runs off.
Okay.
What kind of insult is that?
We'll find out. There's a reason they called him sister boy. I assume that's what you meant, not bite me.
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, is this going to be Natty?
So the boy runs off and he arrives in another part of town just in time to see Picard beaming in. dressed all in white. He's got the white suit, white shirt. He's got that sort of flattish white hat. You know, that whole
Like an Englishman on safari.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then all these Romulans kind of close in to greet him. They're all happy to see him.
He really is their savior. Great.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, he's greeted very warmly. And he's saying, oh, don't worry, the Federation and Starfleet, we're all here to help you settle part of the relocation effort. And then the boy runs off to go and tell the next group of people we meet, a group of what seem to appear to be Romulan nuns at first glance.
Okay.
So are
That's
they
new.
runs or are they nomulans? I'm looking for initial portmanteau options here.
Yeah. Well, let's listen. So, like, you say they're nuns, so like they're dressed like habits and everything, or
not like full on proper formal nun attire as we would picture it, but like they're dressed in black kind of gowns. They have these sort of they're not shroud. What are they called when they're behind your head? It's kind of like a habit. Like it does look very nunnish as far as the imagery goes.
Kind of like the Vedics look.
This is some kind of cloister.
Order. Yeah.
Right. This is some order of Romulan women that we're dealing with here.
Oh, and it's all women.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we see the little boy run off to go and like tell these sisters that Picard's on his way. And so Picard walks in and he gives there you go. There's the image there in the chat.
And I believe Adam, the portmanteau, Ronans.
All right. I like it. I'm in. Ronans.
I'd be cool with that if there wasn't a name for this group.
Well, they're Ronans now.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like there's a name for the double secret KGB. But
yes.
Right. Yeah.
So Picard greets the sisters. He says the phrase "Jolan True," and that is the greeting. It's a Romulan greeting, and he does this hand greeting thing where you put palms together, fingers together, thumbs slightly sticking up, palms together, facing forward and front, and then you open your hands so your palms are facing upwards. So you hinge your hands open. That's the greeting that they use.
Picard, hands open. Got it.
Yeah, well, hands together, forward, and then open. Anyway.
Like you're releasing a ladybug to the sky or something? Okay.
Yeah, but your hands are flat, so the ladybug's already been squished.
Yeah.
I got what you were saying there, Dustin. It's Soji and Daj at Tanagra with their hands wide open.
Yeah.
I love that episode. Not a huge Next Gen fan. I love that episode, though.
It's classic. So they all greet Picard. They're all kind of happy to see him. The little boy is there too, and one of the sisters is like, don't be shy, right? You be seen is the words that she uses. And then he steps forward, and we find out this boy has been excited. He's been waiting for Picard to come back. They say he hasn't stopped talking about Picard this whole time, right? And then the boy says, what did you bring me? And Picard says, I brought you The Three Musketeers, the book by Dumas.
Oh,
and the boy gives Picard a big old hug. And then the sister, we find out her name is Zani. So Zani reminds Elnor, which is the boy's name, we find out. Elnor, not Elron, but Elnor. She reminds Elnor that Picard isn't comfortable with displays of emotion or with children.
You know, that...
Oh, good grief.
I mean, that's yes, but then why did he give the kid a book?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what she says to Elnor, and then Picard is like, well, someday I'll get used to this way of absolute candor, right? We don't get an explanation yet of what it was. And then Elnor speaks up, and he says, why don't you like children? And then Zani speaks up, says, because they're demanding, they're distracting, and they interfere with duty and pleasure alike. Picard gives a nodding agreement.
Wow.
This is Picard post Generations, and at the end of the series, like, I thought everyone kind of agreed he kind of let up on the whole not good with children thing by the end of the series.
I mean, he did have that banner saved, so...
Yeah, I was going to say this completely negates us trying to justify the Picard Day banner.
Yeah, I thought we decided that Troy had it sent to his story.
Well, yeah, but the fact that he still has it.
Yeah, like he didn't trash it.
Yeah.
That's true. So Picard agrees with what Zani is saying for the most part. And then Elnor, he's like, my feelings are hurt. Picard looks at Elnor, and Elnor says, I actually did think you were fond of me. Picard says, correct. I like you very much. And Elnor smiles.
What? Wow. Okay.
And then we get to the next part of the scene where we have Picard talking to the other sisters. And we find out a couple things here. The Coat Milat is the name of this group.
This is a lot of foreign nouns being thrown at us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How much of this do we need to remember?
Well, you'll hear Coat Milat a lot.
I'm sorry, how often will I hear that?
Purpose.
What?
Coat Milat is the name of the
Coat
sisterhood.
Milat, yes.
Okay. I will try to remember that.
Right there. QOWATMIA
What?
MILAT.
Ah, yeah, spelled exactly how it sounds.
Yes.
Just like Chrono.
Just like Romulan.
Yes. No. They're Romans.
So we find out the Coat Milat had been helping the Federation with relocating refugees, and they were like a huge help. They helped relocate like a really significant amount. At one point, they say like up to 250,000 refugees they helped resettle, or were in the process of helping to resettle at least. And so we find out that Picard's going to stick around for 3 days to try to convince this group to help him out, because that's why he came here, was to get their help. Oh, shoot, I jumped ahead. Never mind. He's going to stay here for 3 days to visit to help with the resettlement effort. Sorry, I was thinking of a later scene.
Spoiler alert.
Ah.
We visit this planet again later this episode. Woo!
Oh, that means it's not going to get blown up. Yes.
So
He's not completely blown up.
We find out Picard's going to stay for 3 days. Eleanor mentions something about like last time you promised, and like gets interrupted by Zani. And she mentions this interesting philosophy here. She says a promise is a prison. Do not make yourself another's jailer.
wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Straight
Picard's like, go ahead.
Some straight up chaotic neutral right here. Just
Yeah.
nope. No.
I'm really digging that line.
Don't make yourself another jailer.
Wow.
And then Picard is like, well, speaking of promises, I seem to have remembered bringing this sweet Hanafac that somebody wanted. And Zani looks very surprised and delighted. And then Picard's like, but, promises are prisons. And Zani's like, no, give it here. And so she takes it.
He's not contradicting. She's saying, hey, you were my prisoner because you made that promise to me.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, she doesn't have to deny it. She's still right.
So we gradually find out that the Coat Milat, this sort of convent of women, they took in Elnor as part of the kind of a temporary basis, as part of the resettlement thing, right? Like he was supposed to have gone somewhere else, and he just kind of somehow ended up with them for the time being. So Elnor, being the only boy in this group, is tough life. Picard's kind of thinking it must have been hard for him growing up with a bunch of women. And Zani even says, yes, he is loved, but he does not belong with us. And so Picard promises, I'll find a more suitable place here soon. And then we get a montage going back and forth with Picard and Elnor. On one part, we have him reading the Three Musketeers to Elnor. It's like sunset, it's getting dark, and they're reading together. It's very sweet. And back and forth between them fencing the next day with sticks.
Oh.
Yeah, so like he's spending a lot of time with this kid, reading the books. He reads the scene where D'Artagnan kills Jussac, right? And it's all talk about the fencing technique. At one point, Elnor says, "What does parried mean?" And Picard says, "I'll show you tomorrow," and keeps reading. And so in one of these scenes when they're fencing, Picard suddenly gets a phone call, like communicator call, or whatever you want to call it. He's like, "I'm busy. It's from Raffi." And then he kind of pauses and stops. And Elnor, looking on, as Picard says, "What do you mean synths have attacked Mars?"
Oh, God damn it.
Nice.
There it is.
We're back to Mars. Back.
Back to 100%.
So we find out Picard needs to leave. He's promising that the effort will continue. He says it must continue, right? And he promises he'll be back soon. And so as Elnor and the sisters look on, Picard transports away, and we hear the theme, this nice little flute sting of the main theme. And this really kind of drew my attention to the music, which I think is actually kind of good. The music's by Jeff Russo. And if you guys are okay with it, this brings us into the opening credits. And I haven't talked a lot about the opening credits. And so I was wondering if it would be cool if I kind of described what was going on with these.
I don't see why not.
All right.
I haven't seen it.
I mean, you're the one describing it, so.
The music is actually pretty good. A lot of times it stays out of the way, so it doesn't really draw your focus much during the show. But every now and then there's a well-placed piece of music or a little sting of the Picard theme that it's effective. It's got some cool things going for it. So the opening credits, it's not a pop song.
It's been a long time coming. Get from there to here.
No.
It's actually this really mellow kind of flute-based theme. It's like something like that. It's cool.
So like Pink Panther meets James Bond. That was what I got from that like 3 bars.
Sure.
I mean, Star Trek's usually pretty good with its music.
So the opening credits begins with a shot of the sky. It's cloudy sky, and then there's a crack and a shard of glass kind of breaks off of the sky and starts floating gently downwards along the screen, right? And we start seeing the main cast starring features popping up, Patrick Stewart and all the others. The glass floats down past a vineyard, down the vines and into the ground. And underground, we get the image of the floating giant artifact in the middle of space with bright light growing from inside. And holy crap, special guest star Jerry Ryan.
Ooh.
Ooh. The shard keeps floating down. It goes down in and through the Borg cube, the artifact. And then suddenly we cut to this image of, think of a like a crystal bubble. And it's 12-sided, so it's a D12.
Nice.
So a D12 bubble. And then it splits into 2 D12s. And then it splits into a bunch of D12 bubbles. And they get smaller and smaller and smaller and tinier. They start forming into strands. And the strands are kind of following the shard as it floats along. And we start seeing the lists of producers during this section.
That'll go on for a while.
Well, there's 1 consulting producer, 4 supervising producers, 5 co-executive producers, including Darren Aronofsky. Oh, no, that's Doug Arniakowski. Never mind. 5 co-executive producers and 8 executive producers.
Oh my God.
So many people threw money at this thing.
Yeah, talk about being top heavy. Wow.
All while watching these D12 bubbles multiply. So there's tons and tons and tons and tons of them forming strands, and these strands form a big ring that forms a big iris of an eye out in space. And then all the D12 dust just suddenly blows away, and it becomes a mechanical space eye with a red glowing light in the center. The red glowing light becomes a planet in space that's slowly crumbling to pieces as it's being blown away from an intense light source. And then the shard, that crystal shard from the beginning, is among the pieces, and it drifts off to the right. And these pieces assemble into an ear and a neck and the jaw of Picard, as we get a full front view of his face as he looks up at the camera and it pushes into a title shot, Star Trek Picard. And the title dissolves and the music picks up another phrase and it keeps going and we're back into space and we see the last few credits. And then, oh, hey, it's directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Oh.
Woo! This episode directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Hey.
And then that's the end of the credits.
All right.
It feels like they go a little too long to me.
Well, when you have 14 producers you have to go through, good Lord.
The music's good.
A lot of
the
people
visuals are
paid to
good.
have their name included in that title sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that. That is oh my God. Can you imagine all the producer notes you'd have to go through as a writer?
Nope.
Yikes.
Wow.
This is the first time I felt sympathetic for the writers of the show.
I'm sure half the writers are producers anyway, so.
Yeah.
Thought we decided no, there was just the one writer, so he's got a lot of stuff to page through.
Oh.
Poor bastard.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Act 1. We're in space. We see our ship, La Sirena, I think is what I wrote down. It's a Spanish name. Remember, Rios, he speaks Spanish.
Oh, man, he's so cool.
Yeah. I looked it up just to get a sense of what this ship looks like. I looked this up to give you guys a clear image. This is a Kaplan F-17 speed freighter. So there you go.
Okay, is that something we need to know?
That's just what their ship is.
Okay.
We can look it up later if we want.
If you were a real Trek nerd, you'd already know what it looks like.
It's
Just
a
by that.
Firefly model. You treat it right, it'll take you where you need to go.
Yeah.
Mhm. Da-da-dum, da-dum.
So we get a good establishing shot of our ship as it jumps into warp.
Okay.
And then we see Rios sitting in the captain's chair. He's reading his book, The Tragic Sense of Life. He's listening to some music.
Reading that
right?
one book in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Agnes shows up on the bridge. She walks in. She's like, oh, hi. Oh, you're reading. But that's okay. Rios is like, be my guest. And then we get a great scene of Agnes trying to be flirty with Rios.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God.
Because he's
No,
so
it's
cool.
adorable because Agnes is adorable.
Uh-huh. So I'm kind of also getting the vibe with this book now that it's kind of like Ben Stiller in Dodgeball, where he picks up the dictionary. It's like, oh, you caught me. I also like to break a mental sweat. It's like, yeah, I read philosophy. How you doing?
Well, at least he's
Throw
not
his book
holding
over
it
his shoulder.
upside down. So
Yeah,
there's
that's fair.
plausible deniability there.
I got the feeling from Rios that he's the kind of person that picked up one book on philosophy. It's like, oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one that's going to change my life. But you know what? I think Dapper's explanation is much better.
Yep.
So we get this wonderful scene of Agnes trying to flirt with Rios, and she decides to open with the classic, space is super boring.
Yeah, works for me 2 out of 3 times.
So she's talking about how boring space is. Go figure. It's so empty, right? It's even in the name, space, right? It's not like it's called vast quantities of stuff. Right?
Space
She goes
is so
off.
boring. It's like my hometown. There's just nothing to do. My parents don't let me do anything.
And then we get some excellent word vomit as she goes on, just rambling on and on about how there are over 3 billion stars in our galaxy alone. Ours is one of 2 trillion galaxies. There's a septillion known planets. Maybe it should be called vast quantities of stuff. Why focus on the negative? And then
That's kind of a pun.
yeah, it is. Rios isn't impressed though. So she goes on. She starts talking about, she spent so much time in space is boring. She starts talking about, I got all caught up on 2 years of back issues of the Journal of Theoretical Cybernetics, including the Festschrift of Professor Quark.
Okay.
She's trying so hard.
She also watered Rios's plants. You're welcome.
Wow.
She's trying
No, I know.
hard.
No, what I'm getting here is that they're establishing her. We don't really have that much character establishment for this character, other than she does cybernetic stuff and she's easily bullied by Vulcans.
And she's super excitable.
Yes, she's super excitable. She's kind of energetic, but she also needs to be doing stuff.
Yeah. I'm just also trying to figure out, she's 2 years behind on the latest trade magazine for cybernetics.
Hey, man, she is busy with running stuff, man.
I feel like
No, she's busy with not researching anything because all research has been shut down.
That's fair.
Gates though saying, "Oh, he's behind on his MSDN subscription."
Mhm.
Or
Like-
maybe she hasn't been able to access the Theoretical Cybernetics journals because it's banned.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It was
And
blocked.
why are they still writing it?
Maybe it's not written by Federation people.
I don't think that's a thing.
Maybe.
It's Klingon, is what you're saying? Well, it's because we know it's not Romulan.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not numerical functions only weekly. So
No, it is theoretical. So
Yeah, that's why I think it's Federation. Like, it's still just theories being written, not actual experiments going on.
well, she does mention Professor Quark, so that sounds very Vulcan to me.
Yeah, maybe.
KWOK.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, she watered his plants. You're welcome. She was going to watch a holo, but all that Rios has on board is Klingon opera.
Oh,
Nice.
man, that guy's so deep.
Rios says it's a long story.
Oh, it's a long story. Okay.
Yeah. There's a pause. And then Agnes gets this weird kind of smirk on her face. She's like, I used to live with a guy who liked paper books. I bothered him too. Rios closes the book, looks at her and says, well, what did he do? What did he used to do about it? She says, he was my dad. He had to put up with it.
oh no,
Dialogue is so awkward.
she's got a daddy fetish. Oh,
And
Also-
he looked, he gives a look back at her. Like, I don't know, watching it, I can only assume that he picked up on that too.
Yeah. a person being this obvious at her age, I'm just like, she doing it on purpose?
I mean, maybe.
I mean-
is in the middle of space with nobody else around except a 93-year-old man and a girl who hates her and a bunch of holograms.
I mean, yeah, like, this is just really obvious.
She already
Going
tried
to-
to get all the holograms.
Maybe
Yeah.
she's also a fan of Rios. She thinks she's so cool.
Yeah.
So manly.
She's sitting there like, oh, that Rios, you're so cool.
Did you see that? It was a piece of titanium sticking right out of his shoulder.
Reminds me of my dad.
Oh, God.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
We've dwelled here long enough.
So she asks Rios about the book, and Rios says, she's like, what's it about? And he says, it's about the existential pain of living with the consciousness of death and how it defines us as human beings.
Wasn't this in a previous episode, like line for line?
I mentioned it, yeah.
No, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We looked it up because we were interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, the
I love
existential
the
pain
fact that he says that so robotically. You know he memorized that line.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
he uses this to pick up women all the
Oh,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She's just like, well, that's not a conversation killer at all. I totally want to
What?
talk about the existential pain of living with the consciousness of death and how it defines us as a human being.
You know, girls, they don't want to talk about stuff like that. You know,
I mean, it would work on me, but
Math is hard.
I've known girls I can talk about existentialism with.
yeah, me too. Like, but not to mention, she's a cybernetic expert.
Yeah, who
She's
better
not
to
a
think
dumb
about
person.
consciousness and death, where that line is.
yeah, she'd be a good one to talk to.
Right. Conversation.
So then
killer.
it's okay though, because Raffi saves the day. She comes in. She's all mad because she checked the navigation logs and it's like, where are we going, Rios? We're not going where we thought we were. So Rios is just like, Picard needs to make a stop at Vashti in the Curious sector. And Raffi's like, why? I don't know. You didn't ask. So she's angry. She does not approve. Cut to Picard looking out his window at his vineyard.
Weird.
Wait, what?
Birds flying by.
Quick
the
question.
sun
Quick question
shining.
though.
Okay.
Quick question though. Did we ever establish, is Picard paying Rios? How is this working? Does he work for Picard?
This is 25th century. There's no money. You don't
Then
pay people
why is
things.
Mr. Titanium in my shoulder, drinks cigars, and reads paper books? Why is he doing this for Picard?
Because he's Starfleet to the core.
Oh, never mind. Fine, carry on.
You know what's funny though? Like, you could structure the series where that is actually a good answer.
Being
But
Starfleet to the
I
core.
agree, it has not been established, at least as far as you've been explaining it, Brian,
Yeah.
that would be a good answer.
Wait, which part?
The fact that he's doing it because he's Starfleet to the core.
Oh, I don't know if that's the answer. I just said that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you say it like a joke, but in a better written series, that could be the correct answer.
Maybe Rios is chaotic neutral and he's just along for the ride.
I guess maybe he owes Raffi, because Raffi was the one that found him.
Mhm.
Maybe
Yeah.
it owes
Well,
her a
Raffi
favor.
used to be Starfleet too, so you know.
Yeah.
Is she
all
also
in it
Starfleet
together.
to the core?
I mean, other than the snake belief.
That's true. I'm curious to know if we see her follow up on her quote-unquote addictions. I want to see if she starts to withdraw from Snake Leaf, if she changes, or does she have a bunch with her and she packs it up and smokes it?
Well, we
Throughout
do
the
often
series.
see her drinking something, although I assume it's more like coffee than alcohol, because it does come up again. It does get addressed.
Could be Irish coffee.
Yeah.
I-
Be both,
you mean-
yeah.
You mean Romulan housekeeper coffee?
Yes.
Exactly, yes.
Is it South Romulan or North Romulan is the question.
He's a northerner like you.
You're just stubborn.
Stubborn northerner. Okay, so Picard's looking out his window at his vineyard. It's sunny day, blue sky, birds are flying by. Turns out he had his study recreated on the holodeck to his exact specifications,
Oh my god.
including Daj's necklace sitting open on a book or on an open book on his desk. I couldn't figure out what the book was, but again, that's the shot we got when he said exact specifications. So I'm assuming that's important.
Oh, okay.
So the necklace is not real. It's part of the.
I thought the necklace
Hologram?
was real,
Okay.
but that's what we see when we hear that line. So
Okay.
maybe
Maybe
the
the
book
backup.
is the Three Musketeers. I don't know.
So there's a holodeck on this sort of like tramp freighter.
I guess.
And Picard has recreated his own study back on Earth in this holodeck, is what you're saying.
That's Chateau Picard.
This is like the ultimate prima donna, just, I'll be in my trailer maneuver here.
Yeah.
Just
And we get all this.
It must be recreated to exact specifications. And if I find one brown M&M, it is done.
So we find this all out through discussion between Picard and the hospitality hologram, who has a bad American.
Like
yes, he also looks like Rios, and he has a bad American accent.
Bad.
It's subtle, but it's there. You can hear it in the R's.
What do you mean bad American?
Like think like a British person trying to do an American accent.
Okay, yeah.
So
and you know that particular way they say their R's because they can't.
Yep.
They don't know how Americans do R's.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
There's a little bit of that in his voice.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but I will accept your your two's opinion.
Well, because all these holograms have different accents.
Oh, okay.
So this one has, I noticed, a bad American accent because otherwise it's American. Other than those R's,
I feel like that's really mean to do to the actor. Be like, you have to do all of these.
This
accents.
is why he's my favorite actor. That's why. That's one of the reasons Data was my favorite character.
Do it all at once for just a few episodes, and you have to like make sure you're doing it for every single. You have to make sure your accent's there. Seems to me it's a lot of prep work for.
It's called being a professional, Dustin.
I know, but
yeah.
Then again, maybe that was something I could feel like in a casting job that like he demonstrated he could do several of them competently, and so they're like, hey, let's incorporate that as an extra bit of flair. That this is something.
Maybe they were doing that. But here's my next question: Is this any of this going to actually matter that he has all of these accents?
I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
I mean, it's a quirky thing. It's Star Trek, man. It's a quirky little slightly humorous thing. It's like, oh, this is how I tell which hologram I'm talking to.
Yeah, it's a way to tell the holograms apart because they all look the same.
Well, you could also have them wearing different costume or different clothes.
Nope, there's no budget for that.
No.
There's a budget for a speech coach for every single accent, but
they are wearing slightly different outfits.
Oh.
But that's not enough. You got to make a whole.
Like it's not visibly really noticeable.
Yeah, I mean,
I just had a vision of like this guy has a bad American accent, but he's like in a star-spangled suit, like one of those American flag jumpsuits.
No, he's dressed up more like think like hipster, but more like proper.
What? Proper hip.
So like the long coat and the scarf and that kind of like, yes, everything will be perfect kind of thing.
Oh.
Very snooty,
like a East Coast elitist kind of at.
Yeah, but not like rude.
Not rude.
He's a hospitality hologram, so he's going to be polite, but in that upper crust sort of way,
like a butler sort of way.
Sure,
a hipster butler. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Hipster.
We've paused. I apologize for that. Carry on.
Okay, so we see the hospitality hologram, and Picard even brings up, isn't it weird for a ship like this to have a hospitality program? And the hologram is like, well, we came with the basic installation, right? So here I am.
I mean, that actually makes sense to me. Like, you get the basic package of 50 different things, and you don't need all of them.
He makes the comment they don't get a lot of hospitality emergencies on this ship, so he doesn't get a lot of action. Raffi shows up. She confronts Picard about going to Vashti. Rios comes in too. They're still in his holoden. As soon as Rios enters, the hospitality hologram kind of bows out and like deactivates. And then we get a very clear shot, distinct line of Rios saying, hate that fucking hospitality hologram.
Why? Then why do you use it?
Apparently he doesn't.
He doesn't know how to turn it off.
He doesn't know how to turn it off. It's the equivalent of a flashing 12 o'clock on a VCR.
I mean, there's a throwaway line earlier where the hologram says that Rios likes to keep to himself. Right? He keeps his own company.
He's a lone wolf. He's so cool.
So he keeps his own company by putting his own face on all the holograms.
Well, remember, he's not really polite to any of the holograms.
Yeah.
Well, they're holograms.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just sentient. So, I mean, that doesn't really matter, doesn't it? They're just sentient beings.
No, they're not sentient.
No, they're not.
And,
That's
and
the
so,
point.
so with that line, we get the end of our scene.
Wait.
That's how the
Really?
scene ends. Right. I hate that the hologram. Cut to an establishing shot of the ship in warp speed, and then cut back into the study. Apparently, a couple minutes later.
Why?
There was supposed to be an ad break there.
But then there would have been 5 acts. I counted. I thought this was going to be an ad break, and then my numbers were all weird. So this is still Act 1.
Okay.
All right.
We're back in the study. Raffi is questioning Picard's sanity. This is literally where we left off. We find out that Raffi is not at all eager to get to Free Cloud, even though she wants to go there. She's not eager to go
Such
there.
a mystery.
Right? And then Agnes walks in.
Uh-huh.
She's kind of confused. She's like, "Is this like a secret meeting? Am I part of the crew now?"
God, she's so friggin' just so God. She's so peppy.
Picard welcomes her and says, "Come on in." We get a shot of Raffi looking annoyed.
The chat room is loving
And-
Agnes. I just have to say, there is some love for
I
Agnes.
love Agnes. Agnes is adorable. Plus, her name is Agnes.
And she's young too.
Yeah.
Well, names come in and out of fashion.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so we learn that the Kiris sector in this following conversation, the Kiris sector, which is where Vashti is a power vacuum at this point. It's not anything like what Picard thought it was, because apparently Rios didn't tell Picard this when Picard told him to lay in a course, because Raffi's like, "You didn't tell him any of this?" And Rios is like, "I thought he knew." So Raffi kind of teases Rios about being Starfleet and blindly following orders without question.
But he was Starfleet,
She's sniping
and
at
he wanted
everybody.
to be in Starfleet, and would still be in Starfleet if they hadn't kicked her out.
It's true.
But she's bitter. It's sour grapes.
Yeah, she's bitter.
And
Sour grapes. Cheers.
and a Starfleet officer, it's not considered questioning orders to remind the captain to say, "Sir, that is disputed territory." And the captain would say, "I know. Now keep going." That's
I don't know. Depending on the captain, he might be like, "Are you questioning my orders?"
that's true. That's
And I do wonder if that is partially like because we do see that a lot in those type of episodes, and is that a function of just the writers needing to exposition at you, like, "But sir, blah 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 blah," and
well, that's
or-
normally the
or
role
was
of the first officer.
Mhm.
Like, that's the first officer captain relationship. Normally, is the first officer's responsibility is to question the captain.
yeah, but not in front of
Sure.
Like, unless it's
but
important
yeah.
and crucial, then you don't. Like, you take orders.
in
But-
fiction, absolutely, it's
Yeah.
his job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no, that is not his job.
Well, like, if it's not a stressful, like, time is of the essence moment,
Yeah, no, that's still not his job.
it
Based
isn't
on-
Starfleet.
Oh yes, exactly. In fiction,
that's what he said.
honestly, from my experience, the XO's job is maintain property logs. Straight up, he's like the company accountant.
No, that makes sense. It'd be like the quartermaster.
Also a different position, but yes, usually the XO and the quartermaster walk hand in hand.
I was thinking in like terms of pirate ships of old, but yeah, it's all I'm familiar with. Is piracy. Sorry.
That's your frame of reference.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey.
So we get some exposition.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
We learn that the Kiris sector is a power vacuum run by smugglers and petty warlords like that pesky Kar Kantar. Yeah, watch out for him.
Kar Kantar.
Kar Kantar.
These names.
Spelled with K's.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Kar Kantar.
Kar Kantar.
And it even heard it through the grapevine. It seems like he got his hands on an old antique bird of prey at some point.
Ooh.
And he's lurking in the skies with this old 23rd century bird of
Wait,
prey.
23rd century bird of... Oh, is this a
Yeah.
Romulan bird of prey?
No, it's a Klingon. bird of prey.
Oh.
No, it is a Romulan bird of prey.
Is
according
it?
to
I thought they
Memory
were-
Alpha. Sorry, I just looked it up.
They are. What are the Klingon ships?
I mean, the green ones?
As all the Star Trek nerds are now censoring
Yeah, okay.
me
Well,
for that.
the tiny green ships are the Klingon bird of prey, but the gray ones that, look like they're just a hunk of plastic were called the type of battle cruiser, like an old B7 battle cruiser.
They were No, they were.
Those were
Klingons.
Klingons, and the Romulan one is like it's the wings are actually slightly up rather than a kind of 45-degree angle down. So 45-degree angle down, Klingon bird of prey. If they're slightly up in gray instead of green, That's a Romulan bird of prey.
It's this one.
Going into the chat. That's a Romulan bird of prey.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, there you go. It's an antique bird of prey that this Kar Kantar warlord
That is really cool.
got his hands on.
Because I don't think we've seen a Romulan bird of prey since TOS. So that's really cool to
Yeah, I
see
don't
it
think so either.
updated. I'm kind of geeking out.
So yeah, he got himself an antique bird of
I got to interrupt you with the chat room. Star Trek knew it could name things more than one name, right? Yes, they did, but there's a reason for that. It has to do with intergalactic politics. Don't get me started. Anyways.
Well, didn't one get it from the other?
Yes, Klingons got it from the Romulan.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
good old space.
And then,
politics.
made their own.
Yes, we get into things like trade routes and negotiations, and you don't want to go there.
I do, but let's carry on.
hey, that's one of the later. That's one of the later TOS movies.
Yeah,
it's the resolution of the Klingon War.
That's
Talk
true.
about space politics and trade.
Well, no, I do. No, I'm all for space politics. We're not talking
yeah,
about.
we can talk space politics later.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sure we will.
We can talk about it in post.
The negotiations never took place. Sorry, wrong movie franchise.
Yeah.
Where am I at here? The car.
We're on Act 4. We're episode done. Let's go.
Yeah, so he got his hands on an antique bird of prey, and he's been running wild from Vashti to Diamanta. And
Running wild.
Picard's like, I thought Curious was Fenris Rangers territory. We
What?
find out the Fenris Rangers. Have we heard of them before?
No.
I
Should
mean,
is that something that exists?
I mean, I know that the word Fenris
yeah.
and the word Rangers.
Yep.
Yes, those are both words.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty awesome. I mean, Fenris, knowing what that is, but from mythology, I mean.
Yeah. So Picard's like, I thought the Fenris Rangers. I thought they looked stuff up, or they controlled stuff in this territory.
So is that
And we
it?
find out, well, they were, but they couldn't afford to kind of keep up and be able
What
to
is
defend
Fenris?
properly. Fenris is a reference to Norse mythology.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He
Fenris
was the
is like the great wolf of something or other.
Yeah, he's one of the children of Loki. He is an almost infinitely strong wolf that will devour the sun and moon during Ragnarok.
Like you do.
Yeah, as you do. I can give you more cool details later. It's not relevant.
So
At this
anyway, the Fenris Rangers, they couldn't keep up, and so the Curious sector is a power vacuum. Right? And now Vashti is a hotbed for the Romulan rebirth movement.
The what to the what now?
The Romulan rebirth movement.
Okay.
Remember, the Romulan Empire is in shambles right now, scattered to the winds.
Why is it scattered to the winds? They had
Because they lost their home planet.
but they had at least like more. They
Yeah,
could
They
they
have
lost their
whole other
home
planet.
planet, Dustin.
Well, Dustin, it's a clear.
Weren't there five
It's
main?
it's a Romulan. It's a Roman metaphor. Rome was sacked by a supernova, and so the empire fell into chaos.
No,
They're just-
we haven't seen
you as a
Romulan
historian know
Constantinople
how
yet.
hilarious that reference is, right? Because
We
Rome
haven't-
did not fall. It existed
haven't
in
seen
Byzantine for another 1,000 years.
No, Dustin, we haven't seen Romulan Constantinople yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
We
all
haven't
right.
seen the
We haven't seen
Romulan
Or
Empire.
Romulan Justinine.
Romulan Justinine. We have. My guess would be that the Romulan resurgence thing is basically Romulan Charlemagne.
Romulan rebirth movement.
All right.
Yes, Romulan, if you will.
And then Agnes, she's like, why do you want to go there? Why do you want to go to Vashti? What's on Vashti? Raffi speaks up. She's like, JL wants to hire an assassin.
God damn it!
Picard says,
I hate that. I hate when she calls him JL.
Picard
Yeah,
says they're
so do I.
not assassins and you can't hire them. They have to choose you. The Kawat Malat choose based on certain specifications who they will help.
Who they and they'll kill it for you?
Well, he said they're not assassins,
Oh, okay. He says they're not okay.
They're murderers.
but Raffi called them assassins.
You have to pay an assassin. People who do it for free are murderers.
Rios leans into Agnes and basically Rios says Romulan warrior nuns.
Yeah, I'm thinking like this is the Romulan
Oh.
all-female Yakuza.
Yeah, they're Romulan warrior nuns. And Agnes is like, that's a real thing? How bizarre.
Wow, she is
Right.
an audience kind of stand-in, isn't she?
I'm starting to like her a lot more.
Very Agnes Sue.
So Picard reminds us, the audience, he's talking to Agnes and them. He says that the Kawat Malat, they helped Raffi and Picard to help relocate a whole bunch of Romulans. And they're also the most skilled single combat fighters he has ever seen.
Jedi.
Which is must be pretty good, because that means that they're even better than that blue barrel that took out Worf.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh. Yes, that was a good joke. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't take complete credit for that, but thank you.
All right, well, you should hat tip whoever did come up with that joke.
Number file is the channel. I have no idea what video it is because it was a complete cold open. But yeah, they do a lot of like really in-depth math videos, but they're British, so it's maths.
Excellent. Doing the maths, you say.
Apparently there's multiple of them. It was a complete cold open to one of their videos where the guy asked the guy on camera, he's like, who's your favorite Star Trek character? And just without hesitation, he says, the blue barrel that takes out Worf.
Yeah, it's the blue barrel.
And ever since, that's been my favorite Star Trek joke. So the Kawat Malat, they are the most skilled single combat fighters Picard has ever seen, and the most feared enemies of the Tal Shiar.
Wait, whoa.
You gotta say the thing, Dustin.
Oh, back up a second.
There it is.
Yay.
This could be a thing and would be really cool as a concept on paper, but you really got to justify the fact that you could have enemies of the Tal Shiar operating in the open for a long number of years.
Well, the Tal Shiar fears them, so of course they can operate in the open.
Tal Shiar apparently fears a lot of people.
Oh, I must have misheard you because you said the Tal Shiar fears them, but doesn't.
They are the most feared enemies of the Tal Shiar.
Most feared enemies of the Tal Shiar. They are just destroying the Tal Shiar.
Yeah, they really are.
Well, when did they ever do anything competent?
When did they ever do anything competent?
Yeah, Tal Shiar. And not actually being the Jat Vash behind the scenes.
I mean, I will bring that up on the next corrections corner because the only words I could think of, hey, they planned that one attack on the Dominion. Oh, that didn't go well. Never mind.
So my point would be that a secret organization, the only time that you will know that they're doing things is when they screw up. So it's kind of hard to judge competency.
True.
It's like if they succeed, you have no idea anything happened. If you know they were involved, it was probably a failure.
It's kind of like Bender as God. If you do it right, no one thinks you did anything at all.
Mm-hmm. Futurama for the win. I'm curious as to whether or not I need to insert Vashti, as the planet is named, is a actual biblical character.
Ooh, Bible lore.
Yeah, you do need to insert because I did not know that. So.
Oh, I assumed it was Hindu.
I'm not sure how she connects metaphorically, whether it is just a cool sounding name or she is in the Book of Esther.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember this.
What does she represent?
I mean, the reason I know about it is because there was a horrible murder in Michigan's past, and the woman's name was Vashti.
Oh, really?
Kim knows more about it. You can ask her.
All right.
I think we talked about it in Haunted Mitten.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Show plug.
Haunted Mitten is a podcast that I co-host with author and paranormal investigator Kay Gray, in which we explore the origins of popular Michigan ghost stories.
Show plug.
So, Adam, Vashti.
So Vashti is the Queen of Persia in the Book of Esther.
Ooh.
And she is banished for her refusal to appear at the king's banquet to show her beauty, as the king wished. And Esther is chosen to succeed her as queen. She is kind of basically what, again, I'm getting my information from Wikipedia, because while it's not citable as a historian, it is definitely usually a good baseline to start. She is contrarily viewed as either wicked or vain, or as an independent-minded heroine in the feminist interpretation.
Oh, interesting.
I'm with that last one.
Okay. I am not shocked by that, but yeah, absolutely. That's sort of a...
Well, I guess this is the planet where we do have the...
warrior nuns, the Rom nuns.
The Romulan warrior nuns, yeah.
I bet that was a factor when they chose that name.
How clever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was. Because it's very clever.
Such clever idea.
I'm shaking my head right now.
All right.
All right, so where was I?
Yeah,
Where
what
were
up?
we?
Yeah, where were we?
What episode were we on?
Episode
my
10.
notes?
Where were we?
Okay, so they're the most feared enemies of the Tal Shiar.
Yes, that's right.
So we're finding out more about the Koat Milat, the Romnans.
Yeah, thank you.
So they only choose to help in certain causes. They have very specific criterion that they use to decide if they help.
Okay.
But we get sidetracked before we find out what those criterion are, because Picard says that he's positive they'll help us. If not, we'll know about it right away. Because they practice the way of absolute candor.
Is that the name of the title?
Episode title.
It's their primary teaching. Here's the description. Total communication of emotion without any filter between thought and word.
Oh my goodness, they must get along so well with Vulcans.
Well, and also Picard also tags on the next idea that this idea runs entirely counter to everything the Romulans hold dear.
Oh, so they're a Romulan splinter group.
I'm
Yep.
sensing potential support for a certain argument in my near future about a particular space race of aliens.
Okay, just keep moving.
Move along. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Raffi tries different tact. She tries empathizing with Picard. She's like, losing Daj must have you thinking about, these Romulans you promised to help out. Mentions
Losing
Elnor.
Dodge?
She mentions Elnor, right? Because Picard's like, oh, you're talking about Elnor. This must be the reason why he wants to help, is because he failed to save Daj, so now he wants to try to help Elnor or something. That's Raffi is trying to get into Picard's head here.
Why does Raffi know about Dodge?
Picard told her everything.
Yeah, I'm willing to believe that off screen we got
Okay.
No, on screen. I said this was in the last episode. He describes the whole situation to her.
Okay.
Okay.
And when she's smoking her snake weed.
All right. And again, yes, he needs to get over the death of this person that he knew for a day.
I'm weirdly defending this, but I would interpret it as Picard is feeling the sense of failure rather than mourning. Like he didn't lose.
Yeah.
It's just I said I'd do something and I failed.
Yeah, I think that's the general idea.
I agree.
Maybe he's a mourning junkie. He's been mourning Data for 20 years. Maybe he needs somebody new.
So he's a morning person?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on.
I'm sorry I made that possible. Okay, yeah, move on. We haven't even gotten to the Romulan Samurai yet, and that's what I'm waiting for.
I have a feeling I know who it is, and I'm sad.
So Raffi also reminds Picard of what they used to say back then. One possible thing at a time. We got to go to Free Cloud. And Picard says, I may never pass this way again. So that's his justification, that they're going to Vashti before they go to Free Cloud. And then at the end of the scene, it kind of briefly shoots over to Agnes, and she has a quick line where she says, does anybody else think the way of absolute candor sounds potentially annoying? End of scene.
Wow,
To the
she is
artifact.
the audience stand-in.
Yeah. Foreshadowing.
We need to get Agnes on the show.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that. She's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I do need to back up a second. So what I'm hearing though is Picard is making his decision. Like this is not something he really needs to do, and he just wants to go. He wants to go to this planet again.
Partially. Also, he needs help.
Partially, but it sounds like he's kind of admitting that's more of an excuse.
Well, sure, but also he needs help.
Yeah. His rogue band of ragtag members doesn't have a hitter yet, man.
You know,
Yeah, we got a pilot. We got a cybernetics expert.
too bad he didn't know two really good hand-to-hand fighters back on his chateau that
Yeah,
could have came with him, and he could have really skipped this little.
They're not bodyguards, Dustin. They're housekeepers.
I disagree. They serve as bodyguards pretty darn well.
They had to stay behind to make sure the harvest went well.
Got to protect the grapes.
They didn't have the right travel papers. They needed better visas.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
There
sure
you go.
they're traveling under. They're not. This is not official travel.
Why? They're
Yeah,
not
that's
secretly Romulans.
If Picard had just booked
Oh.
travel on some random ship like I thought he would in the beginning, I could give you that excuse that you can't just take Romulans all over Federation space with you. But he's on some rogue ship where the Captain Rios don't care.
He's so cool with a renegade.
So cool, right? You wouldn't even need to sneak him aboard. So, anyways.
Cut to the artifact.
No, no.
I hate
Hey,
you.
we haven't been here yet since last episode. Establishing out of the artifact. I remind you, there are like huge, massive holes in this thing. So
Okay.
like this particular shot is like most of like one part of the corner is missing.
Okay.
Like not the pointy 3-part corner, but like the 2-part edge of 2 of the faces.
I mean, I got
Like,
the idea that this was a
That is
Cuban
missing. It's
badge.
filled in with force fields. All right. We see Soji. She's watching a video and she's playing with those little triangle tiles. She's like laying them out in front of her and watching a video of an old interview with Ramda, where some guy's like asking her
She's
stuff.
watching a YouTube video. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in this video, we hear a guy asking Ramda about Ganmadan.
God damn it.
What is Ganmadan? And Ramda responds, it's the day of annihilation, right? Where everything, or like annihilation, everything, all life, everywhere. When all the shackled demons break their chains and answer the call of the destroyer. But she's speaking Romulan, so she said Sebcheneb. And then we get this long close-up of Soji staring at the screen. And it's actually held really long. It's just her eyes. She's not blinking. She's just staring. It's very dramatic and held for a really long time.
You know, if somebody called me the Destroyer, I would probably be able to brush that off pretty well. Well,
You think
especially
so? Somebody called you the Destroyer and then tried to shoot themselves in the head with the Disruptor?
well, not the I would brush off the idea that I'm the Destroyer. I would be able to brush that part off pretty well.
Nah, hell no. I'm out there trying to destroy stuff, man.
Well, yeah, for you. And then once I realized it is like a old religious / mythological reference, I'd be like, okay, yes. this
Mythology.
person
No, you
clearly
can't use that
is.
word. Romulans hate that word, Dustin.
What's that?
Romulans don't use mythology. There's no Romulan word for it.
Then what was she professor of? Exactly. I thought she was the foremost expert in Romulan mythology.
They
What was
call
she-
it the news. Remember?
So
No.
she was a newscaster? Is that what we're saying?
I don't know. She wrote a book
On what?
on Romulan
News?
news.
That's just stupid.
Cut back to the Serena. In orbit around Vashti. We see it surrounded by a green force field network
Okay.
because it's present day. It's not 14 years ago anymore.
Oh,
We
okay.
find out that Vashti is now surrounded by a standard Romulan planetary defense system bought secondhand.
Man, the
They got a
Romulans
deal.
really fell apart without their home planet.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the collapse of, I'm seeing like a collapse of the Soviet Union where they're just selling shit off. You know, they traded a planetary defense grid for Pepsi. Fun fact that I learned last week, just as completely non sequitur, for about a day or two, Pepsi, the company, had the 6th largest navy in the world.
Wow.
Because
Did they buy it with Pepsi points?
No, it's kind of the joke that's funny is that yes, when basically in the last throes of the Soviet Union, the Russians love Pepsi, and so because they didn't have any money, they traded a large chunk of their navy for a bunch of Pepsi, and so
Wow.
Pepsi for a little while had like aircraft carriers and destroyers and shit, and they basically they processed it all for metal scrap, but that's how they bought a bunch of Pepsi, sort of almost like a bread and circuses thing back in the late 80s, early 90s, before the fall.
Wow.
It's a fantastic story. I just love it so much.
Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, non sequitur. Back to the biblical reference planet.
So yeah, it's surrounded by this standard Romulan planetary defense system bought secondhand that the Fenris Rangers helped them to install. It's
Okay.
primitive, but effective.
I mean, what does that even mean to say something?
Well,
primitive
they go
but
on.
effective?
Oh, well, they describe a little bit more. Basically, this network is an impenetrable shield of orbital killer drones.
That
But
doesn't
there's
sound primitive
there-
at all.
Yeah, that sounds extremely advanced. I thought you were gonna say
numerical
primitive,
drones
like.
only. They're numerical drones.
Well, I was going to say, like, primitive would be like, you know, it blasts anything that comes into radius. there's like 3 big guns on the planet.
Or they have a bunch of apes on the surface piloting each of these drones. That would also be primitive.
You maniacs!
They could use the self-replicating mines that DS9 used.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah,
That was effective.
it was very effective. And
So
not
we find out this is an impenetrable shield of orbital killer drones, but there is a transit zone that opens up every 30 minutes in a random spot within the network. And if you are cleared, you have 1 minute to pass through the window.
Ouch.
Whoa.
That seems really cumbersome and totally not effective as a way of doing things.
Well, they are Romulans.
Yeah.
So Picard is like, or Raffi is explaining this. She's like, we don't have clearance yet. Try different angles. We don't have it yet. And Picard's like, well, tell them it's me. And Raffi's like, we already did that. They weren't impressed.
He is an arrogant son of a though. Isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He is,
Adam, he has sheer hubris.
Yeah.
he is the arbiter of the Klingon succession and all that other crap that they mentioned in the last episode.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you, Agnes.
No, that was a hologram.
Yeah, that was a hologram.
the
dude.
Oh, that was a
emergency
hologram, my bad.
navigational hologram. The ENH.
Not the emergency hospitality hologram. The EHH.
Yeah.
Chat room. Captain Picard should demand to see their manager, Captain Karen Picard.
The emergency Karen hologram.
Yeah.
So Picard's like, okay, very well. Suggestions. Looks around. Rios is like, well, a cash gift is always appropriate.
Yeah.
Picard kind of chuckles at this and then kind of gives off a sigh.
Okay, that's
What, again, I thought they didn't have currency.
I think that's the joke.
Well, we're dealing with Romulans, so
Yeah. The Federation doesn't have currency.
Well, that's what I meant. Like Captain Picard and the crew does not have currency on them. I think that's the joke.
Okay.
So cut to the planet. We're at that Romulan relocation settlement we saw 14 years ago.
Okay.
Picard beams down. Apparently they've got clearance. But
Wait.
he beams down.
That's a good point, though.
Back up a second. How did they beam down if they can't get clearance to get through the impenetrable?
That is a
That's
good point.
Very good question, Dustin.
What is the point of an impenetrable hunter-killer drone network when you have beaming technology? I didn't even think of that. That is not defensive at all. That's meaningless.
Force fields. You can't beam through force fields.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Like I was assuming
Like
there
they
was force
show
fields.
it is a network of force fields and killer
Okay.
drones.
All right. Do we eventually find out how they got through and got clearance?
No.
I assume they bribed them.
In fact, we find out information that brings up more questions as to how they got clearance.
All right. Well, we'll get to that when we get there.
Carry
Pretty
on.
shortly.
So they having trouble getting through, and then boom, they're through. Got it.
Picard beams down to the settlement from before. The place actually looks fairly healthy. There's people there. People are walking around. It looks the same as before.
Like
Right.
Romulan people walking around.
Yeah, Romulan people. Nobody's greeting Picard this time, though. In fact, he tries to greet them, and they're all cold, and they ignore him.
So they're Romulans.
Yeah. We even see some Romulans are wearing armbands with badges on them. I assume they're for the Romulation rebirth movement.
Oh, good.
What kind of these bands can you?
So
just
they're
wrap them?
armbands. They're not like red Nazi armbands, but they do have like an insignia.
They're
picture-
not the armbands. Got it.
A red circle with a smaller black circle and kind of a crosshair in the
Yep,
middle.
that is a yep. It's
And then
not a swastika, but that's what it is.
Superimposed on top of a triangle.
Yep. How many geometric shapes you add? Still a Nazi armband. Armbands not kind of ruined for us.
They're Romulans.
These are clearly standing for Nazi symbols.
If it has a symbol on it, it's
There's an open air diner in the settlement. Picard walks past it, and there, hanging on the gate enclosing the outdoor dining area, is a sign that says Romulans only.
Oh.
And
Back
we see-
up a second.
Oh.
Are there non-Romulans on this planet?
No.
There's no
All we see are
non-Romulans. We never see a non-Romulan on this planet.
Not so far.
And yet they have a sign. They bothered to write a sign that says no Romulans.
Romulans only.
Just in case.
Romulans only. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Well, because people visit. like
Through the
Picard.
impenetrable force field. Got it.
Maybe
Yeah.
they were just waiting. Maybe they were just waiting for Picard to come back one day. They're like, man, he's going to come back. He's going to see this sign. He's not even going to know what hit him.
Wait. That's dumb. But let me try to justify this in a better way.
He's not going to know what to do.
Does the sign look brand new?
It's an aluminum sign that looks all old and gritty.
No, this is friggin' stupid. I was going to be willing to say, well, maybe they made it because they heard he was coming and someone hastily put it up there. I'll show him. But
Wonder how he'll react to this one.
yeah.
Remember,
So, yeah,
he promised he would come back. He didn't say when.
Right.
Yeah.
there is this diner sort of cafe area, and like in the outer.
Oh, wait,
fence,
I'm sorry. No, we got to back up again. The sign,
Romulans only.
did somebody read it?
No, it shows us.
It
We
shows
see the
us.
sign.
Is it in Romulan?
No, it's in English.
It's written in English.
Well, yeah, because if you're wanting to keep out non-Romulans, why would you only write it in Romulan? The,
Yeah, all
the
right.
non-Romulans or non-Ulans, the non-Ulans wouldn't be able to read it.
Yeah, I got you.
So they wouldn't
That's
know to
true.
stay out. You gotta
Yeah.
handhold these non-Ulan stuff.
But they
They're not smart.
they chose only one language to write it in.
It's common.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Basic.
No,
English
it's
is
not.
common.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Between Romulans and the Federation, they're always speaking English.
It's a universal translator.
It's a universal translator sign.
There you go.
It's just it scans your face and it's like, oh, you're like a white guy. I better put myself in English.
It just detects color.
Oh, it's like the opposite of those like racist hand dryers.
It doesn't worry about like actual facial identification. It just scans your skin color and your ears and your ears.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, back up a second. Racist hand dryers?
Oh, you don't remember that? There was a big to-do a couple of years ago about they designed hand dryers that automatic hand dryers. The problem is they functioned on the fact that the laser or the method of recognition that there was a hand underneath them functioned on the fact that the hand would reflect the light because it was white. And so the African American with darker skin could not get these hand dryers to work.
Oh, wow.
To be fair, it was a Japanese company originally, but
Oh yeah,
still.
that explains a lot. Oh,
Wow.
sad.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'm
that-
sorry I didn't know that was that no one knew that. Oh yeah, that is a thing. That was a thing that was real, that happened
Oh, my
in
goodness.
the real world.
because you said Japan, I believe you 100%.
Oh yeah.
Because Japan.
Okay. Anyways, Picard is going by a sign written in English for a planet that has no humans on it,
As far as we see.
as far as we see.
Yep, Romulans only.
Okay.
And
not
as
Nazi
Picard walks
armbands.
past, we see a Romulan sitting there, discreetly reaching up and tapping his comm badge.
Okay.
So discreet.
Right, and then we cut to we're at the nun's place now, and Picard walks in, and who turns around to greet him but Zani, the same character from before.
Oh. Alright.
And she looks surprised. We don't know how she's going to react, but then she smiles, and they warm up, and she welcomes him and says the thing, and everybody else says the thing. And then she says, I thought we would never see you again. And she says, Picard got old. And Picard said, you didn't. And she's like, oh, we don't lie here. Absolute candor. Anyway, Picard's like, I need your help one last time. I know I don't deserve it, but I need your help. And then at that moment, in walks a striking young Romulan, probably
Yes.
around human 20 or so. Striking young Romulan sees Picard and looks shocked. His face freezes, and Picard looks up and sees Eleanor standing there in front of him, a grown man.
A grown
End of Act 1.
Oh my god, we only finished the first
We're
act.
only on the first
It's
act.
very front loaded.
Okay.
This episode is. Like I said, I thought this was 2 acts at this point. But it actually is only 1.
How many pages are we of your notes?
I'm on page 9,
Out of how many?
18.
So we're halfway.
Yeah,
So
we're about halfway through my notes,
Yeah. Why don't we call this even though it's the act 1, why don't we call this halfway anyways?
I guess.
And on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to you, Dustin, for the corrections corner.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. At one point, we were making fun of Mars attacks and the aliens. Yes. And we kept saying, do not run, we come in peace. The
I was
phrase was,
paraphrasing.
well, yeah, it was a paraphrase. It was, do not run, we are your friend.
Oh, okay.
Really?
No,
Yeah,
there's
that
an
you-
earlier line when they release the doves, they say, we come in peace. And then the hippies like, they come in peace and release the doves. And then they shoot the doves down. So I'm not wrong.
What were you going to say, Dapper?
I'm sorry. This is what makes correction corner now? Come on.
Oh, Dapper. I know you're not into the Star Trek fandom, but we are
Dang.
nerds, okay? You're dealing
Shots
with people
fired.
that used to remember the names of all the episodes of TOS. All right?
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
I get it. This isn't Star Trek related, so I didn't feel like I needed a correction. But okay. Go on. Carry on.
I don't think it
do
needed
you.
correction either because I was right.
We talked a little bit about the universal translator and how it instantly recognizes other languages. And all we can say is it's been inconsistent in the series. But there have been episodes where, yes, you're correct. They instantly recognize or understand an alien species that they'd never come in contact before. And then
Unless
there's
they
other
speak in
times.
metaphor.
What's that?
Unless they speak in metaphor.
I'm okay. Skip it past Adam's favorite episode.
Don't you start with me.
And then there are episodes where they like admit it takes a while to get on. So it's just been inconsistent.
Yeah, it depends on the level of metaphor inherent in the language.
Okay, we're moving on.
It's the episode with the guy who only spoke in sign language, and they had to have data do it because apparently Universal Translator doesn't do friggin' ASL.
Wow.
And
Yeah. There you go.
Yep. And it was ASL too.
Yeah. Also,
yes, Star Trek's not woke anymore. I'm
Yeah.
done.
What got me was that
Joe
the
Outler.
guy wasn't even human, and he's speaking ASL.
yeah.
Well, he
Um,
was
It
polylingual,
could
so
be one of those convergent evolution things of languages.
Oh God.
friggin' hand sign. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's like 5 of those different ones that just for English speakers.
All right. Moving on. Speaking of inconsistency, ridged foreheads and Romulans. So this is more of a fun fact than corrections corner, but the ridged foreheads and Romulans has been inconsistent throughout all the years. And there was some fan theories and maybe possible books that explained why some Romulans we see have ridged foreheads and some don't. And this is actually Picard fixing that and actually having actually this is the first time in a series we have Romulans both with and without ridged foreheads. So
they're retconning it.
They're not retconning. I will say they are canonizing a popular fan theory, and I actually applaud them
Canonizing,
Yeah.
retconning. What's the difference?
for that. No, I mean because it's been inconsistent. Like I said, some have and some haven't. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like the Klingons.
Right.
Well, they gave a
That's
reason
what I
for
was
the Klingon.
they did in Enterprise.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And DS9.
Oh, DS9. They didn't give the reason. They just
No, they alluded to it.
they alluded to it,
One
which
such
launched a lot of theories.
We never speak
we don't,
of it,
we don't
I
talk
think is what
about it.
Warp says.
Yeah, they kind of just acknowledged.
We don't
that,
talk
yes.
about it to outsiders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the last one that I had was I mentioned Star Trek Continues, and in the original series where they took on the Greek god, I called him Zeus. It was actually Apollo. And the recurring character was Apollo that came back in Star Trek Continues, played by Michael Forrest. They did get the same actor to play him.
Did they?
Yes.
Wow.
And they even wrote into the episode an explanation of why he had aged.
Cool.
The end of the episode, Apollo dissipates. Yeah. You assume that he's dead, but you don't actually know.
Don't actually see it, yeah. Brian, I'm going to kind of throw it to you after this.
Okay.
How long was Soji on the board cube before orientation?
It's not entirely made clear as far as I've noticed.
Okay.
Unless, like, if I were to go back and rewatch episode 2, I think would be the only spot where something might be that I haven't noticed.
Okay.
and I maybe just overlooked it. But as far as I know, as far as I could tell, the first time we meet Soji is in that last scene of the first episode. We have Narek just intercepting her, and we get the impression there is a line that Narek says something about her having just gotten done with a day of work. So we get the impression she's been there at least one day, long enough to have started working.
Okay, so it wasn't before orientation.
I mean, she's still at that orientation. She went to that orientation. So I don't know what the timeline is for that.
Okay. All right. And did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
I do not.
Okay.
Adam?
Nope.
Krista?
Right. Krista?
Nope.
Act 2.
Act 2, page 9.
We see Ramda lying on a table. She's being observed by like medical stuff.
Is she dead?
Right? No, she just tried to
Okay.
kill herself and like went through all sorts of trauma.
Got it.
Soji is there, standing by her side. Narek is there too. He walks in.
Why would, if they're trying to keep her calm, why are they bringing in the person that upset her so much?
Well, she's unconscious. Ramda is lying unconscious on a table.
This just got weirder.
Yeah. Well, she's unconscious. Soji's standing there next to her, kind of watching, observing. Because remember, this whole thing just happened with, the freak out and Seb Cheneb and all that.
Right.
Narek shows up. He walks in. Turns out he knows Ramda.
Of course he does.
He's like, she was a tortured soul. And so Soji's like, she's like, do you know her? And so we find out Soji feels drawn to Ramda. She's like, I don't know why I feel so drawn to her. And she blames herself for setting Ramda off. And Narek is like, no. She's disordered.
Wait, back up a second. She said Soji said she doesn't know why she's drawn to Ramda.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know why I feel so drawn to her.
Maybe it's because she's an expert in a field that you just said you are extremely interested in.
Also,
Well,
didn't
sure.
she say an episode ago that she loves broken things?
Well, that too.
I mean, we have several reasons why she could be drawn to her.
I don't know. Soji doesn't know why she feels so drawn to her.
Got it. Soji's dumb. Got it. Moving on.
Yeah.
And she blames herself for setting her off. And then Narek is like, no. She's just disordered. He uses that word, disordered. And then Soji goes on. She's like, when she looked at me, I felt seen, even though she didn't like what she saw. And then Narek walks up to Soji, places his hand on hers, and says, I see you, Soji.
Could he stop being so creepy? He is overtly creepy.
Suddenly, cut to Narek and Soji sitting like at a bar or a diner table. They're talking to each other, right?
There's a bar on the board.
I don't know. It's weird the way the shot is laid out. It's weird. They're sitting at a table. There are other people sitting nearby.
I like the idea that they took the time. It's like, all right, we got the crew quarters. We're going to get in now. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to build a bar because we're going to be here a while, people. Okay.
And so we hear Soji talking to Narek. Soji says, "I'm a trusting person, Narek. That's my
You don't
default.
say."
That's my default. But I don't know." She says, "You kind of challenge my paradigm."
Oh,
What?
okay.
So she's simple, she's trusting, but she's attracted to broken things.
She finds broken things rather beautiful.
Okay.
And so she starts asking Narek a bunch of questions. Because Narek is like, give me a second chance. She's like, okay. Have you been watching me?
Give you a second chance? What?
Yeah,
why,
I don't know. That's what Narek says.
What?
Why does he do
But they
second
just
chance?
had sex.
For
Yeah.
challenging her paradigm? I don't know. So she asks a series of questions. She says, have you been watching me? Narek says, not in the way that you mean it.
That's evasive.
So she goes on. She's like, so no uniform, no rank. You go anywhere you want on the artifact and you know things. Are you
Ooh.
Tal Shiar?
Oh.
Narek says, no.
Because he's double secret Tal Shiar.
Yeah,
So she
right.
says, if you were Tal Shiar, would you also answer no? Narek says, yes.
Okay.
I really
Jeez.
don't like these two characters.
Soji asks,
I don't think anyone does.
do you know what happened to the Shaynor? Remember, that's the name of the ship that the Romulans were on before they got assimilated.
Okay.
Do you know what happened to the Shaynor? Narek says, no. Who does? I don't know, but there are probably records on the Borg databases. And then Soji says, but those are classified. Do you have access? And Narek says, no, but I might know someone who does. And then he breaks this thread. He says, so how's the paradigm? And Soji says, paradigmatic.
What the
Huh?
fuck?
He gets up and he says, I want to show you something. And he takes her and he leads her somewhere. She's like, what do you want to show you? He says, I want to teach you an ancient Borg ritual.
What?
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Back up. What?
Ritual.
Narek is leading Soji somewhere. Says, I want to show you an ancient Borg ritual.
So I don't know what it is, but every time you describe these two, I immediately default to Disney songs. And he's now putting her on a magic carpet, and he's going to show her the world, and it's going to be flying through a Borg cube. I apologize for that.
You're not entirely wrong.
Oh,
Damn it!
damn.
No!
Wrong. I thought it was way up out of line, but okay.
So he's going to teach her in an ancient Borg ritual. And she's like, the Borg don't have rituals.
Okay, good.
And
good.
he says, that's what everyone thinks.
Oh.
You know, like that technology that we pretend doesn't work.
So then as they're walking down the various corridors, Narek starts asking Soji about the Ramda videos. Like, so you're watching that interview. And then Soji says that it was from a talk show called Yerminer. And
God, why? There's just no quality control on this show at all.
And so I watched this with subtitles just so I can make sure I'm saying everything and writing it down correctly. And the way they spelled this is ridiculous. Yerminer. Okay, you're not hearing that wrong. It's spelled, as per the subtitles, it's spelled YRRHH.
You're
MNRRH.
manure. Oh man!
You know there's a captions guy somewhere. He just threw his hands in the air and said, I don't freaking know, man.
And he says it so offhandedly, too. Or she does. She's like, yeah, it's a talk show called Yerminer.
Oh man! Yeah, just grind your face across the keyboard with the lead vowels.
Well, wasn't it Dustin saying that just make stuff up? Or rather, they use a familiar term?
No, Brian. If we need to make this distinction, let me make the distinction.
I mean, why not just call it Oprah?
What I wish they would do is world build.
World build?
And
Yes.
world build
Yes.
consistently. If you make
we have
something
Romulans.
up, make sure it's consistent and kind of makes sense. And hey, maybe even plays a little bit into the story.
Are we not
Just
allowed
make
to
it-
add new things to world
I mean,
building?
you can add new things, but for crickets, but just this
What's
wild
wrong?
ass
What's
name.
wrong with establishing within main primary prime canon that there's a Romulan talk show named Yerminer?
I think it was just a placeholder.
I
They were
can't.
like, and then fill it in later. You know, like
We'll come back
in
to
the
this.
scripts they used to put techno babble.
Yeah,
Like they would write scripts, and if they needed a thing, thing, they're just like a technobabble, and then the techno guys would come up with an explanation later. That's how the script worked.
You
So
think
this
they
was
said
probably
it
just
to
like a
group of people,
placeholder.
like it's their job to come up with random place names and like thing names.
Yeah.
And they like
Yeah.
they were stumped on this one.
Insert Romulan talk show here. You're manure.
And then they have
I think the guy was in the bathroom at the time. He's like, "Hey, what's the name of the dog show?"
Or maybe there's a Romulan version of Back to the Future. And so Romulan Biff is like, manure.
Oh no! This is such a throwaway line, but it's funny. It's
Name either.
I just keep seeing the girl from the meme, the Irma Gerd books girl.
That's what I thought.
She's behind the desk with papers. It's your
Oh my god.
This is so stupid.
Oh my god, I'm laughing. I'm laughing so loud. I'm gonna wake up my kids. Jesus. Oh.
Give me just a second here.
Everyone collect themselves.
Yes.
I apologize for nothing.
I am so glad that you paused to write this down. Oh, that's so many stuff. That's wrong. Oh my god.
Oh god, this is like 20 minutes of this show is gonna be edited out. We can't stop laughing. Oh man. Oh no.
No, screw it. We're gonna have a 5-minute pre-intro of us just laughing at
This should be our new thumbnail.
It's a new show. It's the show that we
Welcome to this week's episode of Yerminer. Oh my god, I'm crying.
Yeah. Same. Oh god.
That has to go up on the social media.
Oh, my abs are gonna hurt tomorrow.
Yeah. Good lord.
So anyway, the scene continues.
Okay.
After this nothing of a line of your manure.
That was a throwaway line.
No. Then weeks later on a podcast, they would spend 20 to 30 minutes laughing about a Romulan YouTube channel called Yerminer. Oh, I need another drink.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, if I ever start a YouTube channel for Star Trek fanfic, there's my name.
Yerminer.
Ermagerd,
Oh,
Okay. All right.
God.
All right.
Oh my god, we're only in Act 2.
You did say it was front loaded. Oh my god.
I hope 2 pages of that was us laughing at your manure of the 19 pages.
Fortunately, that's the only time we hear that in this whole series.
Oh,
Thank you.
Or at least season 1.
Oh, it's disappointing.
We may get it again in season 2. Who knows?
Season
I hope
2.
so.
We may get
Picard
Whoopi
will
Goldberg
appear
in season 2.
on yeah.
Apparently, Whoopi Goldberg has been asked to be on season 2,
oh my
which means
god.
we get
Oh.
Guinan.
Okay.
Yerminer!
Mm-hmm.
That's the name. That's the new name of our show. We're gonna go back and re-edit every time we say "back up a second." We're gonna replace it with "your manure."
Wait. Your manure, everybody. That's what your manure means in Romulan is back up a second.
That's the name of their talk show.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Anyways, he was about to show her a board ritual. Carry on.
Yes, he was leading her down a series of passageways to do a Borg ritual, asking about stuff. And then Narek is like, "Well, who taught you such excellent Romulan?" And Soji says, "Well, it was an old friend of my father. He was a professor at the U." And then Narek, she just says the U. And then Narek recites Seattle sometime before May 12th, 2396, when you shipped out for the Beta Quadrant aboard the Ellison.
Whoa.
And Soji's like, "So you have been watching me?"
Not watching, like doing deep background,
Googling,
creepy research.
Mm-hmm.
They arrive at their destination.
So
we are at a ventilation return.
We back up a second. I mean, this guy just is like, I mean, I would kind of freak out a little bit if someone was Googling me. What?
Yeah, she's into it. This is her kink.
She's been into it since scene 1.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all right. But I mean,
she is into this mysterious guy who knows too much and maybe stalking her. This is a classic, almost Twilight scene where she's an idiot and he's watching her sleep.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's not bring Twilight into this.
I'm just saying,
it is going from he doesn't want to talk about himself, and now we've moved into another territory of he knows things about her that she didn't tell him. Like that's another level of
he
wrong.
Googled it.
What's that?
Because he Googled it and he
Google still
whatever
around
century.
He's space.
Probably.
Google.
Space. Yes, Google. He
Googled
your manure it.
Oh.
So they arrive, and he says, "Here we are at the ventilation return. Now, take off your shoes." What? Why? It's part of the Borg ritual. Take off your shoes.
Oh, God. He's being quirky and fun.
So he demonstrates. He's taking off his shoes, and he demonstrates. And he takes a big, he builds this up. He takes a big, deep breath. He kind of kisses his fingers on either hand, right? Lets the air out. Big exhale. Gives a meaningful look at Soji. Winds up to a ready stance and then runs and goes, yeah, and slides down the hallway because he's wearing socks and it's a smooth floor. So he's sliding down the hallway. Going, woo!
He's risky businessing it.
And then Soji follows. She does the same thing, right? And he catches her and they spin around and they're running back and forth together. The music is swelling and they're having a lot of fun.
No.
God damn it.
Much fun is had.
She has to be using him for something.
No,
like,
she's
that's
just
the only
stupid.
way I'll accept their relationship.
She's just dumb. She's a dumb robot.
I kind of saw this coming. That's why I didn't fixate on the idea of a Borg ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's making shit up. Yeah.
Okay, so at least, silver lining, they are showing, not telling, that the relationship is kind of actually maybe real.
Yeah, they're actually building character.
After they've already slept together like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and he's creepy,
closer.
and he's stalking her, and obviously he's a Tal Shiar plant. Yeah.
You don't have to be close.
He already
before you sleep.
Confessed his love.
You can do that afterwards.
Well, he said he might be falling in love with her, which is just even worse.
But he whispered it in her ear, Adam.
It's just that doesn't make it any different. That's just dumb. It's like, I may be falling in love with you if you continue to do what I say.
I suppose.
Yeah, it's bad.
Maybe.
And his timing was right. She's all freaking out, having a breakdown, and he's like, "It's okay, because I'm falling in love with you."
Yeah.
And then they have sex.
Yeah.
It's
and then they do an old
weird
Borg ritual.
Yeah. Oh, it's so weird.
And so they have a lot of fun. Much fun is had. And then they end up breathlessly leaning against the wall. Soji's back is to the wall, heavy breathing, and they start kissing, making And then they pause for a moment, and breathlessly, Narek says, Terran passenger lists are a matter of public record, which is shocking to a Romulan sensibility. And they start kissing again and going at it. And then they pause again, and Narek says,
Google it.
and Narek says, but strangely, there's no record of that you were a passenger on the Ellison that day. Soji kind of smiles, thinking he's teasing, and she's like, well, I was. Are you calling me a liar? Right? Kind of being playful. They start kissing again, and then they pause, and Narek just kind of looks at her, and then Soji's like, well, to hell with you, and pushes him away, right? Because now he's like messing with her sense of reality.
Oh, okay. Hey,
Wait.
good for her.
Yeah.
Wait, back up.
Okay.
So he's saying this ship and it left from Seattle and everything. So like, how she got there.
Yep.
But then he's saying she wasn't on it. So how did he get the ship's name to begin with if she didn't tell him?
That's a good question.
See, no, I don't know that he's gaslighting her because literally she wasn't on the ship. She's a robot with false memories implanted.
Someone in the chat
Right.
gaslighting here.
Yeah, it's not gaslighting per se. I mean,
Gaslighting is when you
it kind of is because it's
distinctly go against like somebody's sense of reality.
yeah. So okay, in that sense, it is, but
Yeah.
it's also not because she probably wasn't on the damn ship.
But
From
she
our
doesn't know that.
perspective,
She thinks she
but right.
was. But
Right.
he's deliberately
From her
teasing her
perspective.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
It is
So-
sort of weird to bring up while you're making out. I mean,
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
There's a certain level of conversation that's acceptable in that time frame, and usually gaslighting not in that.
I love your arms around me. You're so comforting. You're so lovable, and
You're not real.
you're not real. It's a fake. So she's kind of pissed off now.
Ugh. Every interaction between these two is bad.
So she's like, "To hell with you," and pushing him away. And then Narek's
That's
like,
a
well,
first.
what about the Borg Shanor records? To hell with them too. And so he turns around and is like, Narek, what are you doing? Narek says, same thing you're doing, feeding an insatiable curiosity. And we get a
What?
close up on her face as it cuts back to the Serena in space with Raffi, and she's looking at stuff on the console.
Wait, the what?
The Serena, the spaceship.
That's the name of the spaceship? It's the Serena.
La Serena.
So, oh my god. So it's not the Serenity, but it's friggin' close. Got it.
So we have Raffi looking at the console. Suddenly something pops up, and she's like, "Damn!" And then Rios is like, "What?" And Raffi says, "Somebody ID'd him," referring to Picard. Right? And apparently, Picard is now blowing up on personal comm traffic all over the planet.
He's trending on Romulan Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so Agnes is like, "What is this good or bad?" And Raffi's like, "Bad. It's catastrophically bad."
Hashtag Yerminer.
Yerminer. And Rio says we should get him out of there. And so they call. Yeah.
Why did she tell him that he needs to keep a low profile? Like, was he?
I don't know. We didn't see that part. We should get that.
I know.
They just went straight to Picard beaming in.
I'm sorry, JL Picard doesn't keep a low profile.
Yeah, like, and if they want to keep a low profile, why didn't he just contact these people on comm first?
Well, they tried and turned him away.
No, but I mean, like the
Romnuns.
Yeah, the Romnuns.
Well, they don't really have any say. They gotta go to like Central Command for that, or Central Station. I don't know. I don't know who's in charge of stuff.
I thought
They don't have cell phones?
Yeah.
Cell phones. What's that?
All right. Sorry. Okay.
Like
It's just a little weird.
500 at this point.
I'm just saying I'm shocked at this point that all of a sudden there's like, oh no, he's been ID'd. Like,
after just randomly beaming in through a sudden opening in the security network.
Yeah, so
no clearance.
Yeah,
I don't know, Dustin. Somebody ID'd Picard, and now there's a bunch of chatter, and it's bad. So they call Picard, and we cut to the planet, and Picard's like, "Not now, Raffi. I need more time." And Raffi tries to tell him that there's a lot of angry people that know he's there, and Picard's like, "No, I'm safe right here."
And yeah, there's a good point coming up. Like they purposely send his name. Like the whole planet had the chance to know that Picard was on a ship. So so are we going to learn that he secretly beamed down somehow?
I guess not, because they know he's there.
Okay, did he try to secretly beam down.
No, he beamed down right in the middle of the street.
That's true.
Right, yeah, right middle of. Okay.
Not to like any station or
No,
no.
I know he
Middle of the
does
street
it,
of this
but I'm
settlement.
also imagining
Same
him with
exact
a
location he
holster.
beamed in 14 years ago.
Yep. I'm imagining him
anyway.
beaming in with a cowboy hat and a holster slung off his hip as well.
Rios notices on the very edge of sensor range, there's a ship coming into range, and he realizes, oh shoot, this is a bird of prey. We have company. This is Car Kantar coming to see what's up.
Wait, it's a bird of prey and he knows it's there?
They just see it coming into sensor range, like as we're
doesn't
talking
it have
right
stealth?
now.
Isn't that a thing?
Well,
You don't
maybe
have
it's
to
not
use it.
always on. It's not
It's
always
old.
on.
Maybe it doesn't work.
Why would you not use it?
Maybe he wants to make his presence known.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
he
what I'm
kinda
thinking.
creeps in. Like the way we get it, he's moving real slow. So this bird of prey like creeps into the very edge of sensor range.
Yeah, so he's announcing his presence. Sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he tells Picard, and Picard, his response, he says, do what you have to do. I need more time. Picard out.
Oh my god, he's such an arrogant toe rag.
We get a quick
Yep.
shot of Elnor making some bread. Meanwhile,
We are not in a hurry.
Picard is talking to the Kawat Malat, and we get a little bit of explanation here as like the Kawat Malat have been acting as sort of peacekeepers, protecting travelers, kind of doing what they can to help out, but not really able to do much in such lawless times, you know. And Picard's
No,
like,
I
"Do you
don't know.
still-"
This is very odd to me.
I said Wild West, Dustin.
I mean, like, it's not a Wild West planet. It's just.
Oh, it is.
Wait,
We get
what do
the
you
guitar
mean?
music and everything.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, no, I got that. I got that immediately. This is like
This
yeah,
is a lawless place.
like saloon
I got
doors
that-
and people walking around with disruptors on their hips.
Yeah.
You know, Yosemite
Romulans only.
Sam in the corner.
Wait, Brian, is Dapper being serious?
Well, Yosemite Sam isn't actually there.
Well, I mean, no, I mean like with the saloon and like
yeah,
it's-
the
it looks like an
cafe.
old west.
The open air cafe is like a saloon.
Oh my
Like people
goodness!
are sitting there, being all like leaning in their chairs, right? And they're all tough. And you have
Yep.
these people with the arm.
So he's oh my god!
sand
And they-
everywhere.
So he's
Drinking
literally
whiskey on their shoulders.
swaggering
Reboot
into a
stuff.
town of
Reboot.
Old West with everyone kind of looking at him funny.
Yep.
staring him down.
Oh wow!
What better place to meet a samurai?
This is sort of reminding me of some of the original series episodes where they would beam into places like that, like old gangster New York and
Yeah,
Naziville, and places like
yeah,
that.
that's kind of what I was thinking. Like you know, kind of like
Naziville, I love the term.
You're
TOS
welcome.
throwback.
Welcome to
asks-
Naziopolis.
Picard asks if the Kawat Malat still bind their blades to a cause, right? And they respond, only if that cause is found worthy. And then at that moment, Elnor steps in and offers the bread to Picard that he was cooking. And Picard's like, no, thank you, Elnor. And Elnor drops it on the table and storms off out the doorway. He's very obviously upset by this.
I made this
Wait,
bread
wait,
for
wait,
you.
wait, wait. Yeah, back up a second. I mean, if he's upset about it, why isn't he practicing absolute candor and talking?
He
about
is.
it?
He's expressing that he's upset about it through his actions.
Fair. Okay.
What?
Yeah.
I can
When
accept
you're
that.
upset, don't
He's
you
young.
throw things around and storm off?
Or want to at the very least.
Yeah. Absolute candor, Dustin. No filter.
I thought it was to their mouth. Didn't you say that in the beginning?
I love the page sound effect.
That's beautiful. Almost as good as the door sound effect.
I don't know. I wrote a lot of stuff down here.
We'll fix it later.
I mean-
all right.
So he storms off.
Yeah.
Picard kind of ignores it. And so Picard like begins, well, he kind of reacts to it, but doesn't really do anything. And then what was her name? Zaris or whatever? Zani?
Yeah, Sonny.
Zani. She's like, oh, you feel shame seeing Elnor, don't you? And Picard like begins lamenting about the state of things and how bad things got and how he couldn't help more. And then the Romnun is like, well, you couldn't save everyone, so you chose to save no one.
Oof.
Oh,
Boom.
okay.
Nice.
There's there's the encapsulation of your theme right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Picard kind of failed these people. And so she asks, why did you come here? And he tells her about what's going on. And she suggests that he takes Elnor with him because he doesn't belong here. And so Picard asks,
Why doesn't he belong there?
Because he's a dude in a female organization?
Yeah.
Obviously.
There's an entire planet of places for him to go with other Romulans. Why does he have to
That's
stick
not how
around?
Star Trek works, Dustin.
Every world is very small.
Every world is one city.
Everywhere?
Maybe a second continent mentioned in passing.
If there's
Yeah.
a conflict involved, yes.
Yeah.
Well, conflicts
there's
are
northern-
usually between inhabitants of other planets.
If there's a
Rarely
northerner
is
and
it
a
actually
southerner
conflict
part
on
of a
one
planet, then
Actually, as far as I remember, very rarely do we see, like, on any single planet that kind of level of conflict, do we? It's
We
usually
do.
different
It's
planets.
rare though.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
rare.
Anyway, so we find out.
So wait, no, but I mean, like, this is an entire planet that is apparently wealthy enough to have an entire planet covered in
Wealthy?
drones and prevent people from
No,
getting
they
in.
bought that secondhand, Dustin.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they thought it was worth covering an entire planet. This
Well, they
could
gotta
just be like
protect
some
themselves
backwater
from
community, though.
warlords. Yeah, that's the impression I get.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this Elrond kid doesn't need to stick around at this podunk city. He could go to where there might be.
He's got nowhere else
larger-
to go. Wait, and Picard mentions this. Picard mentions, he's like, I always imagined you found a good place for him. And they're like, no, he's been here the whole time.
no. See, okay, all right. Here's my thought process here. Why that he can't really go anywhere else because he was raised in this order, which we have already been told is anathemical to most of Romulan culture.
Yeah.
He can't really go anywhere because he is a perpetual outsider among his own people.
He's a sister boy.
Yeah. I mean, that's a stupid name.
Yeah. Oh, God, I can't get over that. Well, also, he probably was waiting for Picard to come back. 'Cause remember, Picard promised he would come back.
Promises are prisons, Krista.
But he still did it. So, see, it was a prison because it kept the kid there for, 14 years or however many.
Oof. Wow,
Ooh,
that is, yeah.
We
That's
find out that Elnor has completed his training, but he can never be a Kawat Malat because he's a dude.
Because he's got a dick.
Always messing things up.
But he
you're not
is-
wrong.
He is open-hearted and forthright, and his fighting skills, we are reminded, are truly formidable. And Picard's like, it could be dangerous. He might die. And the sister says, oh, he will. But first, it will gladden my heart to see him live.
Oh.
End of
Oh,
Act
he's
2.
just like Picard.
That's the end of Act 2. So at this point, Dustin, I will send it over to you for the corrections corner. Oh, wait.
Already
Act 3.
did that.
Act 3, we're still on Vashti. We have Picard talking to Elnor. And basically, this is where Picard is effectively petitioning for Elnor's help. And Elnor will be choosing whether or not to lend his assistance to Picard's cause. Right?
That's this entire act.
Well, that's the premise of this part of the scene.
So we're going to pretend that he's not going to say yes.
Well, Picard starts telling Elnor of the situation. He mentions Data. He mentions his mission. And by the way, in this scene, Picard refers to it specifically as a quest.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So I am vindicated.
Boom.
You are vindicated by terrible writing.
High five, Brian.
High five. Elnor mentions Spot. He's like, oh, you've told me about Data. He has an orange cat named Spot, right? And Picard's like, you're right. He does have an orange cat named Spot.
He's dead.
That's true. Spot's also probably dead.
Yeah, because he's a cat, and it's been years.
So Elnor asks...
Well, I mean, cats could be 20 years old. You don't know.
That's true.
Yeah,
So
this cat
Elnor
was
asks,
involved in multiple spaceship accidents.
cats are resilient.
But he's always okay. He always finds him.
Have there been 9 of them?
I mean, they did get into quite a few spats. Anyways,
So
I'm not going to argue about dead cat.
Oh, future
So
cat.
Elnor brings up Spot, and he's like, "I've never seen a cat before."
Oh.
And Picard says, "Well, if you
Oh.
come with us, you just might see one or two of them."
Picard is such a manipulative ass.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Know what I mean? Say no more.
Oh,
No.
you're a bad person.
So Elnor is like, "Well, why do you need me?" And Picard kind of gives an explanation of like, "Well, we need you, your skills, blah, blah, blah." But no. That's why you need someone. But why do you need me? Right? Elnor, we get, is bitter. He's upset. He's upset that Picard kind of left. And so Picard, he's like, "Well, why do you need me specifically?" And Picard's basically like, "Well, I'm old, you're young, you're strong, you're an amazing fighter, and I need your help." And Elnor gets mad. He's like, "You only come when you need me for something, right? When I'm
Good for him.
Yeah. And he's like, "You left me on my own, old man. I see no reason not to do the same," and walks off.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, good for him. Don't
Yeah.
go off on some suicide mission with an old man who has a death wish.
Right? Cut to
Just
the
because it would be
Serena.
cool and awesome.
From the Serena, Picard calls Rios and is like, "I'm ready for transport." And Rios says, "All right, next window will be opened in 7 minutes." Back in town, Picard is walking back into the main area, and there's sad music playing. This is sad Picard. And he walks past the open air diner with the Romulans only sign, and he stops. He looks at it. Kind of gets it on his face.
Are you serious that like he's got 7 minutes to go and he wants to start some shit with that?
He grabs the sign, pulls it off the fence, and throws it on the ground. Everyone looks up at
Okay.
him.
That is the answer. Yes, he does.
Everyone looks up at him, and he steps on it as he walks towards the diner and goes and enters and greets them warmly. They all stare at him. And he walks over and he sits at a table.
Does he sit? Oh, he sits at a table, not a
At
counter.
a table.
Oh,
But there's another Romulan at that table who angrily gets up and walks away. And Picard starts calling for a waiter.
I would too. You don't just sit at my table.
It's not German style seating.
But Picard calls for a waiter and then calls again more aggressively. Like he's actually expecting a waiter to help him out.
Oh my god, so he's got 7 minutes, so he goes full social justice warrior on this friggin' cantina.
One of the
Okay.
Romulans, they stand up, and all the other Romulans at that table stand up. This particular Romulan is a large, imposing-looking black man with a sword on his hip. Very intimidating looking.
Oh, of
Space
course, he's a
sword.
big black
Stands tall.
So the-
man.
Walks over.
Yeah, so the first black guy on there has to be this large, intimidating looking guy.
No, the first black guy was the guy that got a knife thrown at his chest.
Yeah, the boyfriend of Dodge.
So first we kill the only black guy.
Yep. Yeah, it's not. This show is not kind to black men.
It's not.
So this Romulan stands up and he confronts Picard and he says, "I am Tenkemadrev.
Nope.
Don't worry about it.
Yep, I'm not
It's
worried
not
about it. Just carry on.
It's not important, not worth knowing." He's
Okay.
like, "We've met before, Picard." Picard's like, "Oh, we have. Oh, well, forgive me. I don't remember." And this dude, he's like, "I was a Romulan senator."
Oh,
Picard
that's
immediately
nice.
stands up.
Oh.
Right. And he's like, "I witnessed your speech to the Hall of State promising Federation help. The great Saint Picard," right? "I was moved. I had tears in my eyes listening to that speech. Then you left and you came back with a bunch of massive Wallenberg class transports. And we all packed up and boarded the Nightingale. 5 generations of Romulans, parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters, all on one ship, brought here to Vashti." And Picard is like, we had so little time. I did everything I could to help." And then the senator says, "And then you gave up."
Okay, let's back up.
A
So you're-
second?
Yeah,
Maybe
Sorry.
a couple seconds.
Tense
Yeah.
moment.
let's back up a second
All right.
because this is clearly some exposition hidden
Uh-huh.
as conflict, which is good. Not
Mhm.
don't have a problem with that.
You gotta keep the exposition interesting. Give some
Yes.
action while it
I
happens.
do like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
The problem is the exposition itself. Are you telling me this whole planet was just the one run of those 5 cruisers?
Just the one, the Nightingale.
The
5 generations of Romulans on one Wallenberg, massive, absolutely huge Wallenberg class transports, and they were all brought here to Vashti. And it shows like shots of the different Romulans, like of various ages, including like the classic image of the older Romulans. It's a cool little callback makeup scene.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So this really is the only town on the whole planet.
As far as we know, I don't know. There was a lot of green from space, but
Yeah, I mean, there could be other towns that are just.
Wait a minute, back up. I'm sorry, Kirsten, I bulldoze you.
Star Trek rule. One
Another
planet, one
second.
city.
There's a lot of green on this planet, and they settled on the one place that looks like the Wild West.
Well, there's
Yeah.
green on this part too. There's actually a big tree that's actually kind of red. That's where the nuns live.
But they didn't think to settle in the more lush green area.
I mean, it's Wild West. Doesn't
I
Wild
mean,
West.
this could be the safer part.
Oh, geez, that's an interesting thought.
Computer status report.
Here's an interesting little Easter egg. A Wallenberg class transport is a reference to Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat credited with saving tens of thousands of Jewish people in Nazi-occupied Hungary during World War II.
Oh,
Oh,
He is
cool.
he is the Hungarian version of Schindler.
Okay.
nice. Very nice.
So that's a neat little fact that good on them for doing that.
cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so Picard, he's like trying. He's like, I tried. We had so little time. There were so many people. I did everything I could. And the Romulan senator says, and then you gave up. And he calls his thugs, and his thugs surround Picard. And the senator continues, and he's accusing Picard of taking advantage of Romulans, right? He underestimated, the Federation underestimated Romulan ingenuity, and they took advantage of them at the very moment of doubt, and took advantage of that to try to scatter and confuse and divide the Romulans.
Oh.
I mean, they've been enemies a long time.
Yeah, so I understand this guy's anger, but here's the thing. If I'm in his mind and think the Federation did this on purpose, it doesn't sound like they underestimated Romulan ingenuity. They really are scattered and throughout.
Well, yeah, but by underestimating their ingenuity, that's talking about like the Federation interfering. And because of the interference, it disrupted their normal pattern of ingenuity, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's more like the Federation. His implication is that the Federation assumed that by scattering the Romulans, they would never ever again be a threat. And he's saying that, we'll show you. We have access to warp transport and stuff like that everybody else has, and so obviously we aren't as scattered as you thought.
Yeah,
Well,
that's kind of how I
also-
took it.
Yeah.
Also, the Romulans have always looked for any excuse to kind of accuse the Federation of being sneaky.
Well, that
Also
So it
true.
just makes sense to me that a Romulan would accuse the Federation of like taking advantage of them to make them weaker when they were actually trying to help.
yes,
and
that is the standard sort of what the Romulan mindset seems to be. It's like that's what the Romulans would have done. So that's what they assume the Federation is doing.
Yeah.
Especially
and because the Federation
senator.
failed, it fits into that conspiracy.
It was weird. It seems like a weirdly put line, but whatever.
So he tells one of his thugs, he's like, give him your sword, right? And Picard's like, no, he refuses, right? And so he takes the dude's sword and throws it to Picard. So Picard like instinctually catches it, right? And then like they grab Picard and drag him out into the street to begin this duel, right? But then
Nice.
Picard, he throws down the sword. He's like, no, refusing to fight. And then we hear a voice from off screen saying, please, my friend. And then we see Elnor standing
Of
behind
course.
the Romulan senator. And he says, choose to live. The senator kind of looks and turns
Was he
back to
talking-
Picard. He's talking to the senator. He's like, please, my friend, choose to live.
He's saying, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Mhm.
You may want to run away now.
And I have a picture of a straight face emoji drawn here on my notes. One of these things.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know what you mean. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean when you describe it, but I don't know what you mean when you wrote it in your notes.
So the senator lunges to Picard, and as two goons move to intercept Elnor, and in one single, quick, spinny, jumpy, kicky, slicey move, He takes out. He
That was
takes
way
out.
too many verbs.
He takes out the two goons, and we see a thin line of green blood suddenly appear on the senator's neck as his head slides off of his body.
Oh my God!
And he says, Elnor says, "I regret your choice." And he looks around.
Wow.
He looks around
I
at the
am
other.
Hey, Picard, did you learn from this? Wow.
He looks around at the other Romulans. They're all shocked, and they're silent. And he declares that he has bound himself to Picard as Kalankai. Anyone who threatens him, and he holds up the bloody sword, will be choosing to die.
You're McGee.
And Picard's like, okay, enough, Elnor. And then he addresses the Romulans. He's like, the Federation has failed you all. I have failed you all. And he apologizes to the Romulans, but he looks at Elnor as he's apologizing to the Romulans.
Oh, it's a metaphor.
Yeah. Cut to the Serena. And
Wait, back up. So Picard is just totally fine with these three guys getting murdered right in front of him.
oh, just wait.
Yeah.
It's a tense
'Cause I'm
situation.
kind of-
Picard's not reacting yet.
Okay.
He's maintaining self-control. We see the Serena, and Picard says, "We're ready for transport." The Serena says, "We're ready for transport." And then back on the planet, we hear a goon say, "A Tom Kalak is no match for a disruptor, sister boy." And then Rafi, we hear, says, "JL?" And Picard says, "Yes, now." And they beam up Picard and Elnor to the Serena.
Luckily,
How did they know to give Eldor?
Mhm.
Yeah,
How do they know to
That's a Star Trek thing that they just
7
keep
minutes.
going. Yeah, I can't go too much on that. Otherwise, people will bring up the 50 episodes. So
But yeah,
Star
quick
Trek
note:
would
the name, what they call the sword, is a Ton Kalank.
Uh,
That was part of that line there.
Yeah, that's weird.
Tonkalonk.
Ton Kalank.
okay, so when can we talk about Picard
Right now,
and the scene?
we are
No, I mean,
this whole show.
no. Krista brought him up, and he said, "Just wait."
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
They beam onto the Serena, and Picard grabs Elnor and says, "That man did not deserve to die."
Disagree.
Picard should
And
have thought of that before he
Elnor
started
has
some.
the best response. Elnor has the best response. He says, "He chose it. You fight a co-op Malat, and the outcome is not in doubt."
Yeah, badass.
Oh man, that guy's so cool! You see what a badass that guy is? He's almost as badass as Captain Rios.
And so Picard goes off on a thing, and he basically says, "I will tell you when to fight and when to refrain." And he makes him swear it. And Elnor's like, "I swear." And they do the hand salute where it hinges open to the palms upward. And then Picard introduces Elnor to, everybody who's there. Raffi is not impressed. He's like, "Oh, great, a guy with a stick."
What? Actually, I'm on Raffi's side
Wow.
on this, but okay.
We get a shot of Picard and Elnor walking down one of the passageways. It's not really a passageway. It's weird the way the ship is laid out. I could go into it, but like the bridge is open to the cargo bay, so it's actually rather spacious.
No, I'm sorry. Back up a second. I'm not done talking about what a dumbass Picard is, because he started shit on that planet without a plan of how to end it, and 3 people ended up dead because of
Or
it.
did he?
That's
have a
true.
plan?
Well, here's the thing. That's worse. If he did have a plan, he knew they were going to die, and he essentially instigated the deaths of 3 people.
It's an argument I've heard brought up elsewhere, Dustin. So you're not alone.
Okay, because I mean that is a maneuver that if you had done something like that when serving underneath Picard, he would chew your out for pulling a stunt like that.
Which is what he did.
Did he though?
He's like, "I'll tell you when to fight and when not to."
Yeah, he chewed out that guy. He didn't chew out himself. The
Yeah,
point is
that's what
that
I'm saying. Yeah.
if Riker had gone down to a planet and done what Picard did, Picard would have been pissed.
Yes, thank you for translating me. But yeah,
You're welcome.
that's what I'm saying.
Why is it my sudden mental question was, did Riker ever start any race wars?
I'm assuming 1 or 2.
Maybe.
The series went
At
on
least-
for 7 seasons, so
Yeah. Plus, he showed up in DS9.
Well, he almost started a trans war. Does
And
that
he
count?
is directing this episode.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So he introduces Elnor to the crew, and then we get a shot of them walking, Picard and Elnor walking, and Agnes is kind of in tow behind them. And Picard is talking to Elnor. He says, "So what made you decide to bind yourself to my cause after all? Like what caused you to make up your mind?" And
I hope
Elnor
it's
says,
something of loyalty to Picard, or Picard's going to be like, "Oh crap, he's got to go."
well, Elnor says, "Well, it met the requirements for worthiness, and it seems you needed me after all." And then Agnes is like, what are the requirements for worthiness?
Thank you,
Oh,
Agnes.
gosh darn! I'm loving Agnes.
Agnes is my new favorite.
Agnes for the win again.
And Picard responds, he says, "A Colin Kai will only bind himself."
Wait. So Picard is Picard explaining this dude's religion?
It's not a religion.
They're nuns. It's kind of a religion.
Yeah, he's in a small insular sect with strict codes of conduct.
But he's a dude, so he can't be part of them. So Picard says, "A Kalankai, there's 2 K's in there. I spelled it in the chat. A Kalankai will only bind himself to a lost cause." And they walk out of frame, leaving Agnes looking stunned, alone in the shot.
She's
End
wondering
of
what
Act
she got
3.
herself into. Oh my
Yep.
god.
So it's the Order of St. Jude. Got it. Okay, cool.
They bind themselves to a lost cause.
That's dumb.
Yep. No, you're right. That's dumb.
Yeah,
That is a dumb thing. That is a Yermagur right there.
that's. I'm just trying to think of this from a practical standpoint, because every time you see one of them fight, if you're fighting against somebody and you
That's
see,
got to be a morale boost when you see
Yeah.
them working with the enemy.
because the enemy is admitting it's a lost cause because they got a bunch of Cobra Kai's helping them.
Some Cobra Kai's. Sweep the neck, motherfucker. Oh, I need to speak with less volume.
All right. Act 4.
Yay!
We're almost there.
Joe.
We've
That's okay.
almost
Act
reached
4,
it.
Act 4 is action heavy, so
Okay, excellent. That means
or
we'll
at
go
least
through
the
it.
second half of it is. Narek. We open with Narek sleeping in the bed.
Alone? Is he asleep alone in his bed?
Is he asleep in his bed or Soji's bed?
He's alone in the shot right now.
Okay.
Okay.
We see a hand gently caress his cheek, run
Ew.
down his neck, his shoulder, and his arm. It's the
W.
sister Romulan.
Yeah.
Who we
it
find
is.
out, I don't know when they actually say her name the first time, but we find out that her name is Narissa. So it's not actually Rizzo.
Who is not a Muppet. Got it.
Yeah, not
It's
a not a Muppet.
Rizzo
explains
is
it
the
all.
Starfleet persona when she was talking to Commodore. Oh,
Hey, she hasn't been in this episode yet.
not yet. So she gently caresses Narek's cheek, and he starts. Right? And she begins teasing Narek about his robot friend, whether or not she's anatomically correct. And she's teasing him about like, oh, you've been studying her kind for your whole adult life. You've been waiting for her. You've been planning for her, waiting until you finally get to see her. Right? She's teasing him.
Gross.
And then
Yeah,
Narek
gross.
suddenly goes into a stream of questions for Narissa. He says, excuse me, hang on.
I'm trying not to interrupt often because I want to get through this scene as quickly as possible.
Narek
I'm
asks,
so
Very
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
he says, why is she obsessed with Ramda? What happened when the cube assimilated the Shaynor? Why did its crew and passengers lose their minds? Who were they?
Okay.
And then the sister, she's like, well, what have you accomplished on my behalf? And Narek says, well, I've planted the first seed of doubt. And Narissa says, oh, a seed. She's not impressed.
Mhm.
And Narek is like, no, I know how to handle her. If we press her too hard, it might activate her. And then we'll just have another situation like what happened on Earth. And then they'll both be dead.
Okay, you can't just use the words seed, plant, and activate. I just
Okay. Yeah, no,
Ugh.
that's fair. I didn't make that initial connection, but yeah, that's
Well,
I've
It's
read
a-
too many romance novels.
it's a sex metaphor.
oh yeah, planting seeds and yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, with his sister. You know.
That's very clearly
Ew.
dialogue too. There's a
Yeah.
line later on where she's like,
Mm.
"I'll leave you and your seed to
Oh God! Why are they so
sexual
creepy?
tension." Because they're Romulans and Game of Thrones did it first.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Well,
so he's like
yeah.
if we do it your way, she'll activate too soon and it'll be ruined. It'll be just like Earth. They'll both be dead. And then Narissa's like, well, the goal is to kill them. And then Narek is like, no, we want to kill all of them. So we need to find out where she came from and where the rest of them are.
There's a planet of Sojis.
I guess.
that's what they think.
Oh,
And then Narissa is like, has it occurred to you? You're sliding into obsession with this girl. Has it occurred to you that maybe she's the one handling you?
Yeah,
Yes,
that occurred to
yes.
me.
it occurred to the audience.
Yeah. And so she's like, she was
I was
sent
hoping.
to the cube. She was sent to the cube for a reason, right? What's her plan? Who is she? Right. And then she starts to like caress Narek's neck and like goes in almost like she's gonna
God,
kiss his neck.
stop
But then she
it!
grabs his throat and like pushes his head against the wall. And she's like, who is she? And then I like the way the camera angle is, it's a very obvious fake choke, but he's acting it up pretty well. So he's pretending he's being choked. And he's like, Seb Cheneb, the destroyer. And she lets him go. And she's like, I'll give you and your seed one more week to find the location. After that, it's good old pain and violence. And she leaves, leaving Narek sitting alone in his room on his bed and frustratingly bangs his head against the wall before we cut back to space as the Serena is being pursued by the bird of prey and also taking fire from the planetary network.
What? Oh,
Oh,
okay. Hopping back into action after the inside.
Yep.
Okay, and first of all, I just have to address this on the podcast of this picture that Dapper put in the chat. Incest, wow. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't podcast this while this picture is an animated GIF. I'm like, I can't concentrate. So I purposely like hit a bunch of buttons and returns trying to get out my view of what does he do.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he posted again.
post it again.
You know, keep doing it, right?
Well, I actually got a message that said, "Whoa, there, way too spicy. You're sending messages too quickly. Enter the chill zone."
Nice.
Oh,
Jesus.
cool.
Don't encourage him, Dustin.
Thank you, Discord. For those of you who aren't participants in Discord and listening to this podcast, we highly recommend Discord as a way of communicating in these troubled pandemic times. We're not being paid to do that.
You can join us at discord.backupasecond.com.
Give us
Mhm.
money. You can listen live.
Give us money and you can listen to us live in even higher resolution because
Give us
apparently
money
the boost
because
rules are a thing.
We don't live in Starfleet and money is still a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the idea of money not being a thing is stupid.
It's fantasy.
Sorry.
Okay, you two just all right. You both are combo triggering me, but let's keep going.
Cut to space. The Serena is being pursued by Kal Kantar and this bird of prey.
Anything to escape the incesty scene.
He takes
Please.
fire from the bird of prey, this antique bird of prey, and also from the network. And then we get a computer line. The computer says, engaging auto evasion protocol. We
Oh,
get a
that's
shot
good.
in outer space as the ship is making cool maneuvers.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
so
numerical.
Rios mentions that the bird of prey has primitive targeting system. It's the planetary security net that worries him. And Raffi's like, just get us out of here. And we find out that the ship, this whatever class I said earlier, it can't outrun a bird of prey, but can outfly it. So we get all sorts of cool maneuver shots from inside. Rios calls for Emmett. Gives us a line in Spanish. He says, I could use a little help. And a really hungover looking version of Rios appears in one of the console chairs. His hair is down. He's wearing a t-shirt. In Spanish, he's like, you fly, I'll shoot. Like really lazy Spanish. And so this next
Wow.
bit,
Do
we
these
get
guys not think about stuff before they write shit down?
the next few moves are narrated by Emmett in Spanish, as we are informed that
In lazy, drunken Spanish.
yeah, he's like, they're pushing us closer to the network drones. We'll be within range of the drones in 9.4 seconds. As he stretches and leans back and puts his hand on his head.
I really hope this has an explanation at the end of this, but if it
It's not
doesn't,
gonna.
well,
It's not gonna.
And so Rios does a lot of maneuvering. We get shots from various angles inside of the ship of them leaning in different directions.
the classic shake around while the shaky cam does the thing.
Now
Yeah.
now we're into Star Trek. Thank you.
And then suddenly a new ship arrives. Where did that come from? Raffi's like, oh, no ID. There's no ID. There's no transponder, but they have great timing though. And then Emmett, the drunken Spanish dude, he's like, oh, it's a hideous ship. And then Rios is like, but it's a magnificent pilot. And then we cut outside and we see space. The ships are doing maneuvers. It does this cool, like, swings up and kind of floats as it turns around, faces the bird of prey and shoots at it. And its fire slices off an entire wing of the bird of prey.
So
Wow,
basically
that must
these
be
sort
the
of like,
greatest pilot in the galaxy.
yeah, it's Han Solo, baby.
But not before the bird of prey gets one last shot off and hits the ship. And the ship is obviously going to be destroyed. And so inside of the other ship, they're like, oh, the pilot's hailing us. Picard's like, put him on. Oh, sorry. And Rios is like, yeah, go ahead, put him on. Because Rios is a pilot. Picard can't make those calls.
You mean the
And
captain?
so Raffi's like, he's requesting to beam over. Right, their ship's breaking up. His shields are failing. Emmett has a throwaway line. Nah, it's too risky. And Raffi's like, no, his shields are failing. And Picard's like, beam him directly here. And Rios says, do it. And we see the ship.
Who's doing it?
What?
No,
Rios says,
I'm just saying. I'm confused. Who is giving orders and who's doing stuff?
well, Rios is the captain, so he's supposed to be giving orders, but Picard is old and stubborn, so he's also giving orders.
No, I get that. But I'm trying to figure out who is Rios giving the orders to? His holograms?
Raffi.
To Raffi.
Yeah, Raffi's the one beaming him up.
Oh, okay.
But she
Okay.
needs to wait for the orders. She can't just do it.
Didn't we just go over her not needing to wait or not blindly follow orders? Because I was about to say that till you explicitly said it out loud, Brian. That was going to be my next thing.
She's Starfleet to the core, Des.
No, that was Raffi complaining about Rios following orders blindly. It's different when she does it.
Or just clearly these writers don't think about stuff from scene to scene. So
we see the ship out of control crashing into the force field network. Boom,
Uh-huh.
it explodes. Raffi's inside the other ship's like, got him, and beams him on board to the ship. And who gets beamed on board? None
special
other
guest star.
than 7 of 9.
Yay! I was going to feel really
Oh,
foolish
geez.
if it wasn't 7
Okay.
of 9.
Picard is like, 7 of 9? And then 7 looks at Picard and says, you owe me a ship, Picard, and passes out.
What?
Cut the credits. That's the end of the episode.
Passes out? Was she standing up when they beamed her over? Or was she like laying down?
She was standing up, kind of like balancing herself on her feet,
Oh.
but obviously like really weak, and then just has enough strength that says, you owe me a ship, Picard, before she falls over and passes out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Next time on Star Trek
That's-
Picard,
Ugh.
we get to see people dressing up in costume to visit planet of Free Cloud. We're going to see Rios dressed up as a pimp, and we're going to see Picard dressed up as a
So
very
pimp.
very artsy Frenchman with an eye patch.
Oh, wait, an
Dear.
artsy Frenchman? What's he doing? Just
Next
smoking a
time.
cigarette?
Next time on Star
You better
Trek
have a beret.
Picard, we're going to visit the casino planet of Free Cloud.
Oh,
Oh,
the
boy.
heist episode.
Maybe
Is
we'll
it the heist
get to,
episode.
maybe we'll get to meet Bruce Maddox.
Ugh.
So,
It's 7 of 9.
yeah. So
I
no,
can't
Adam, they did not
wait.
explain Rios's lazy Spanish speaking, drunken pilot, son of a gun.
Aren't you
It's
supposed to be
just-
shooting at him? Eh.
You know, Brian, you once said, I think at the beginning of this, like, gee, Dustin, you're getting really close to calling the writers of the show racist. And I was like, well, I'm not quite there yet. I am friggin' there.
Why? What
Yeah.
race are they making fun of here?
Yeah.
All of them.
Brown people.
Are you saying just because he's speaking Spanish, it means they're being racist? He's not brown. He's white.
With a speaking Spanish, with the
He's not
Spanish
Mexican.
accent. You don't
Maybe
think
he's,
this? Okay, I feel like you're arguing just to argue, but you don't feel like this is advancing the bad stereotype of the lazy Mexican.
You think just because a
feel like-
hologram takes on a
yeah.
drunken persona?
Takes on a drunken Spanish
speaks
speaking
Spanish!
persona.
Yeah.
Or
And
this
he's
could
dressed
also-
up in the
also be-
Caribbean.
Do you automatically draw a connection between Spanish speakers and alcoholism?
Okay, Brian, when stereotypes exist in society, it is important to point them out when they pop up. It is not offensive to say, hey, this is a stereotype that exists in our society, and you are perpetuating it.
You gotta show the connection, though.
Star Trek lately is very good at perpetuating stereotypes and tropes.
Oh, it's always been good at perpetuating stereotypes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To be fair, also, it could be the stereotype of not a Mexican, but a Spaniard who is typically thought of as lazy and going on siesta.
And to be fair, I'm sitting here with an empty bottle of wine, so who knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
It's the wine
And there's your
talking.
stinger, Dustin.
Yeah.
I don't know if buying a 1.75 liter bottle of Scotch whiskey was a good idea. It's not gone.
More for
But
next
it is
week.
far more diminished than I thought it would be.
Well, after your manure, how could it not be?
Yeah, that's fair. Your manure is about half of that.
Yeah.
God
Join us for
damn.
next week's episode of Your Manure, where we get to go to Free Cloud.
I just
Little clown everybody dresses up in costume episode.
All proper nouns are replaced with your manure.
I can't believe people are complaining about this series being too woke.
Oh,
Like-
it's so not.
People are
What?
complaining about
what?
that?
Yeah, I hear people complaining about Star Trek being too woke, and so I'm kind of
No.
expecting all the kind of like,
Maybe like
social
actual
justice stuff coming out, and I'm like, this is terrible. It's just how many stereotypes have we gone through? 2, 3, 4?
Several. Several.
goodness.
are they stereotypes though? Or are you just applying the label of stereotype, thus making you the stereotyper?
Okay, I'm just gonna refer Brian to his earlier statement.
Don't worry, he'll get it in post.
Yeah.
I'll only get more drunk in post.
All right.
Yeah. I feel bad for the editors of this episode because they clearly had to cut out a lot and make a lot of leaps.
I get that impression with every episode so far.
Do you think that maybe this was because Picard's only like what 10 episodes?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's supposed to be longer.
No,
And they
no,
had
10
to cut-
episodes is the norm now, Dustin. That's the
Yeah,
standard.
it kind of is. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Right.
well,
And
there's
the-
norm and then there's average. Like you could say I was trying to sell like a 12 episode.
Yeah, but this
series.
is CBS. We're going with norm.
CBS doesn't have a norm on their streaming. Like this is their new.
Yeah,
this is their
why
trend
they're going
setting.
with Netflix's norm. They don't know what to do on their own.
Was Discovery more? First season Discovery, I think, was more than 10 episodes.
That was the old time stuff.
The
That was
old
the
times 2 years ago.
Yes. Anything before February is the before times.
Oh yeah, okay.
Long ago in the before times, in December of 2019.
Pre-corona we're now living in a post-coronavirus world.
Yeah. Post-COVID.
Pre-post COVID right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like Discovery was 15 episodes. So
Oh my god! They also have a show based on like discussing the episodes called Ready Room, hosted by Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
oh, we gotta watch that.
Yeah.
Not until we're done with this though.
Yeah, we'll finish this
Yeah, we got to finish this.
because I watched some of those with Discovery, and there was a couple of them where they like brought in the scientist that was talking about. Like in Discovery, they based the mushroom network in space on this actual scientist work on mushroom networks on Earth. and it was so uncomfortable trying to watch this guy not say, you guys completely mistook everything that I said about the Mushroom Network, and it's really stupid to say that it exists in space. It was uncomfortable watching this guy just kind of mutter and nod his head along, and they would ask him questions, and we'd just give these really short, cryptic answers.
Have you ever seen
Poor man.
Jonathan Frakes ask you things?
His what?
No.
Jonathan Frakes asks you things.
No.
Here you go.
Oh, yeah, no, I did see that. It was like a conspiracy show.
So
And
it was like a show he did, and like he would always start off the bits with random questions, and that's what this video is.
Oh.
Adam, stop it! That gift graphic.
Just scroll up. Just scroll up and hide.
I know, I'm scrolling up, but like he private sent me that message. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Adam wants to tell me something that he doesn't want the rest of it. I click on it, boom! Wow, incest.
Oh, why does it bother you so much? I don't. It was just one of the ones that was there for incest. It was
The one of the ones there was for incest. How many animated gifts does this could have for incest?
well, you're about to find out. Thanks for joining us for Back Up a Second, or as we're now calling it, Your Manure. We'd like to thank you for joining us, and remember that
I'm Romulan Larry King. Welcome to Your Manure.
oh, it's funny again.